Awesome. Cool. So, hey, thanks for having us out today to share this information with you guys. The purpose of today, I'm just going to go over some of the things that we're going to cover, and you guys will have time for questions. As we go through this, I'll have a whole bunch of different breaks. So if you guys have any questions about what I said, or it sounds like a foreign language, or you don't understand it, don't be afraid at all to like ask any questions, because the people that you guys come in contact with that want to do business and they want to get on the internet, a lot of them don't understand the language either. So, if when I started, I didn't even understand half of this stuff. It's like Alice in Wonderland almost. It's kind of like when you go down the internet hole, it just expands and it gets bigger and bigger. So the purpose of today is, one, we're going to go over like the background of internet marketing, and then what does it mean for your clients? How can it help them? And then I'm going to give you guys an overview of the services that we offer so that you guys know a little bit about each one. I'm not going to like give you a whole encyclopedia on each one, because that would just confuse people. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through also the philosophies that you guys can use with business owners, like different stories that you could tell them. Right. Because people really get sold on stories. When people hear a story, they remember it. But with facts, a lot of times with facts, they just get confused. So if you have a few stories for you to share, that's great. We're going to cover SEO, which is search engine optimization. We're going to cover pay-per-click, which is just pay-per-click. We're also going to cover social media, and then also additional offerings, so that if you're talking to somebody and they say, hey, I would like you to write some content for me, that like what that means, and where to direct that person. I remember a long time ago, I worked in a restaurant, and they had like I think their menu was like 20 pages, and we had to learn how to tour guide people, because sometimes if you just throw everything at them, they just get confused and they do nothing. So you have to kind of really listen closely to see what it is they want, what are their needs, and then how can you direct them towards what they want to get. And then what I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to do some sales training that I've used in building like call centers and sales teams when it comes to digital marketing, so that you guys have the right questions to ask. It's just like going to a doctor. You don't walk into a doctor's office and they go, okay, let me prescribe some medicine, before they ask you a bunch of questions, take your pulse, do all those basic fundamental things. And then I'm also going to talk to you guys a little bit about different tools that you can use to leverage. So it's not about you selling somebody else. It's more about you just pointing out things that would help them move the decision forward. And so that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. The first thing, internet marketing itself, I put this little thing of magic under there. It's funny, I used to do events and parties a long time ago. And I think what's really magical about the internet, like when I first got started, like back in 2008, I had read a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Because I was in Australia, I was traveling the world, I was doing sales, kind of like door to door, going and meeting people face to face. So I was flying throughout Australia, New Zealand, all these different places, and I met this guy who asked me a question. I don't know if you've ever had a question where like it just makes your head spin, and you're like, oh, I never thought of that question. It puts you in a kind of a new place. So he said, well, why are you going to all these people? If these people could come to you and they would call you and find you, why do you need to go to them? And I sat there for like a couple minutes just thinking, like, how do you do that? Because I'd been so busy going to people, and I thought to myself, that's a great question. Why aren't they coming to me, and how do I get them to come to me? Because imagine if people were here knocking on the door every day, just coming to you, and you weren't going to them. Like, that within itself got me excited. So I read this 4-Hour Workweek book, which initially it was really overwhelming. I got the audio, and as I went through the book, he was like, go to this.com, this.com, this.com. There's a lot of references in there, but what the book did for me, like a lot of times when I read a book, it gave me an insight to like a new definition of what would be possible. Like when it came to the internet, and it opened up my mind to think on a different level. And so when you're talking to people that own companies, a lot of them have been doing business the same way they've been doing business for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Until they taste what the internet can do for them, it's almost like they have to be bitten by the bug. I don't know if anybody here has ever played the lottery, right? You go and I'll just get a scratch and win, right? And you get a scratch and win and you spend $2 and you're like, wow, I just made 50. And if that's your first experience, you're like, oh my gosh, we should get these scratch and wins all the time, right? So when I got involved with internet marketing and I started looking into it, I initially started with just placing ads online. I did like Craigslist, I did some other, forums and stuff like that. And I actually got people responding to me and sending me in their information, and that helped me build a business. Now, it was funny at the time because there was a guy in the company that was literally making about $60,000 a month in that business, and he didn't even know how to do an ad online, right? So he would come to me and he would be like, hey, you're an internet marketing expert, but all I knew how to do is place an ad, right? So a lot of times in your point of reference, when you go to clients, a lot of times you're the expert, but the definition of an expert is on different levels. It's kind of like the difference between if we all go out and we play basketball, and then we play basketball with Kobe Bryant, right? It's a whole different game, right? So the question is, what kind of game are you playing when it comes to you building value for these services, but also stating like what could be possible for the client? So I'll give you a couple of stories. So when I first got up a website back in like 1995, I owned an event planning company, and I launched a company, and I put up this really simple, ugly, it was like a Microsoft front page website. And I don't know if anyone, has done that a long time ago, where you put up a website, it looked like a Microsoft Word document with a bunch of backlinks, and it was really kind of ugly. But I got it up on the internet, right? And I would just update it. I would get a new idea. I'd be like, hey, we could do a corporate event. So I put corporate event, and I'd write some content, and I'd put up a link for corporate events. So when people click on it, it would go to a new, almost like a Microsoft Word page. And it was like the most ugliest thing you've ever seen, right? So next thing you know, I get a phone call. Just like that, right?
On cue.
And it was Blockbuster, right? So Blockbuster calls me, and they're like, hey, we found your website. And I was like so excited because here Blockbuster's calling me, and I'm like, wow, like it just opened up my mind, right? So they said, well, we have all these grand openings that we want to do in Stockton, California. We want to do some in Las Vegas. We want to do some up in Northern California. And we have like 8 or 10 grand openings. And I said, okay, we can do the grand openings. And the guy on the phone said, listen, I'll buy the airfare for all your team. I'll basically just tell me what it is that I need to pay. I want this to stay between you and me. I just want to get it covered. I don't want to go to any other vendors. I found you online. I trust you. And I've talked to you. Can you just send me an invoice? So I sent them an invoice. I think the invoice was for like $20,000. They had given a bunch of events. But that was like one of my first experiences with my business on Google, was the fact that I got Blockbuster as a customer. Now today, Blockbuster is nowhere to be found, and it's kind of ironic, right? Because times have changed. Now people can go to their Netflix, they can go to their Amazon, their digital, whatever services that they have with their cable company, and they can just get a movie. They don't have to go to Blockbuster.
Right.
So the internet is the same way that Blockbuster was to movies. And so now people are doing business different when it comes to the internet. So just an example like that client yielded me like 40 or 50 grand extra just from having up a website because they found me online. And I felt so excited. I was like, oh, we got to put up more stuff online, right? I mean, who here has ever had like a positive experience in life and you're like, wow, that worked really good. Let me try it again. So there's going to be some people that you guys come across that completely get the internet. They know that they need it. There's going to be other people that are a little bit skeptical. They have a lot of questions. And then there's some people that just don't believe the internet will ever help them. And so you can't try to change where people are. You can only tell them stories and say, hey, look at what your competitor is doing and stuff like that. So that's one of my things with the internet is I feel like it's magic. Like I can tell you some of the clients that I've gotten. I've done stuff with like Justin Timberlake I've done stuff with Blockbuster, Guess Jeans, like some really big corporations where like if I never had a website, they would have never found me. And it was the ugliest website, but because I was there, you know, they found me online. There's something called Google. You know, people don't use the yellow pages anymore, right? So if you're not on Google, then you're not relevant. And we know how technology is becoming these days. I mean, even just to have a conversation with people without them checking their phone or looking at their phone or going on Google or scrolling down. People are distracted by technology. So you can have a negative distraction and you can have a positive distraction. So the businesses that you guys go after, the question for them is like, how many people do they want to get in front of? And do they want to get in front of new customers? Because new customers means new money and it helps them grow their company, right? So that's my whole thing with the internet. I think the internet is just magical if you know how to work the internet to your advantage. If not, it's just confusing, right? So, you know, we have a science with internet marketing where we've kind of gone down that rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland, so to speak, and we've gone down different paths and we've tried this and tried this and tried this. And not every business is the same. We're not going to just jam the business in the same pattern as every other company. We have to take a look at it. We have to think about their business as if it were our business and go, what would we do if we owned a dental office? Or what would we do if we owned a restaurant? You know, what are some great ideas that we can apply to their marketing that we can then put on the internet that would then generate phone calls? Because really we're selling money and we're selling revenue to these companies. We're not selling information. They want their phone to ring and they want to get paid. If their phone rings and they get paid, then they're happy and they're not going to go anywhere. So that's really cool with the internet. There's different parts of the internet, you know, as you see right here with online marketing. There's search engine optimization, there's Google Maps, there's blog marketing, there's game marketing where people gamify like social media and they go, oh, we're gonna have a contest this week. You know, whoever puts up a picture of you and your kitten, we're gonna give you a free, you know, kitten grooming at our grooming, you know, shop. And so website, social networking, and then some reality marketing, which is almost like people just documenting their business and putting up videos online where people can find them, because again, people buy into stories. So that's a little bit about the internet magic, and I think it's always exciting if you can work something to your advantage and take advantage of something. A lot of times in life, we have a lot of things that are available to us, but we never see them because we're not looking for them, right? They're like right there in our day. So here's a little bit about, I'm going to talk briefly about a website, because in order to do the SEO and to do the pay-per-click and to do all that stuff, it's important to have a website. And there's a way that we optimize websites, so uniquely valuable. So a website should have unique content. It should have original content. I have worked with business owners before where I've worked at companies where they've said, hey, can you just copy my competitor's website, copy all their words, throw it onto a template, and just get up something fast. And I mean, that's plagiarism. You don't want to copy somebody else's content. The other thing with Google is you could get penalized if you copy somebody else's content and it's not original. So unique content is important because it makes you unique and you stand out as having original content. The other one is providing a good user experience, or what they call UX. So if someone goes to your site, and I go on to a mobile site, and it takes 5 seconds for me to load, I'm already out of there, especially if you're young these days. Like kids and millennials, they have ADD. Oh, it didn't come up, next. Yeah. You know, like my daughter's like 8 years old. She like just presses buttons, you know, it's like slow down, right? But like that's how people are becoming. They just, I've been in airports with like 50-year-old women on their Instagram just going down, and I'm like, wow. You know, like I saw this 5-10 years ago and it just woke me up. I was like, wow, very interesting how people are and how they've become and how they've been trained. So if the site loads quickly, now obviously a lot of times it'll load quickly for the person who owns it because they're always on it. It's in their cookies, right? But what we do is we test the site to make sure it loads fast. If it loads quicker, it's going to do better with SEO. They're going to have a better user experience. Another part of a user experience is when people go to your site, that it actually kind of tour guides them and is simple and easy for them to understand. If it's too much information, a lot of times people, again, will leave the site. One of the things that actually impacts ranking is what we call click-through rate. So if your site engages people and it has videos and it has content and it's helpful, and people find information there that's helpful for a problem they're trying to solve or for a service that they want, testimonials, builds trust, all these things help with the user experience. You know, a long time ago, people used to have like flash sites and all these things where it took like 5 minutes for it to load. That's not in anymore. People just want a site to come up and they want it to just load easily, right? Keyword targeted. So a lot of times people will just get up a site because they're like, hey, let's start a company and let's throw up a website. And you can buy a template or whatever and throw up a website. But if you don't know how to optimize it for keywords, you're not going to come up on Google just because you put up a website. So you have to look at some of the, what we call the tags, which is like the back-end programming. And we do that so people don't have to worry about it. That's kind of all you need to know. And then the question is, what's the target? A keyword is not the name of the company. There's a lot of people out there that go, hey, I'm first for Red Robins on Pasadena. But the only people searching for that is people that know you, right? So if you're first in Pasadena for, you know, best roofing company, Pasadena, that would be a good keyword because it's somebody that has some kind of buying signals, or hire a roofer in Pasadena. That's a good keyword long-term because they're putting in hire a roofer, Pasadena, California. They have their wallet out, they're ready to hire somebody, right? So these are keywords that we want to target. How do you get to those keywords? One of the things is having the website. The website's like your rocket ship. You know, it doesn't matter how much fuel you give to a rocket ship if it won't make it to the moon. So the site health and the website being in a sound structure is like it's like the foundation. And then you build everything else around the website. So the other thing to do is having a website that could be shared on social media. So if somebody could take it and share it with their friends. So like if I know you and you know me, and I go, hey, where do you get great gluten-free pizza? And you're like, oh my gosh, I went to this place down the street because I'm a nutrition or a foodie or whatever you call it. And you send me the link and you just hit share and it sends it to me on my text message. You just gave me a referral and it was easy for you to share. You were already there, right? So that's something that's important. Crawler and bot is just the back end stuff that has to do with like the robot text and the sitemap and a lot of these things that people forget about. And you know, I was watching some videos yesterday with Michael Phelps with swimming because my daughter is 8, she's going to be 9, and she's getting all these ribbons. She got like first place, second place, 6th place. She's like, well, how come I got 6th place, right? And we started watching these videos. And on the videos, you know, what's really interesting in life or in marketing is we think we're doing something the right way. So a business owner thinks they have a website, and they think it works because it's up. And that is their definition of having a website that works. But then you go to somebody else like myself, and a website that works is getting like 1,000 hits a month and getting 25 phone calls a month and people finding us on search terms. It's a totally different definition than what they're used to. Just like in relationships, or, you know, I can tie this into life, right? It's like we think a relationship is great, and then we experience one that's even better. And we go, oh my gosh, my old relationship, like we didn't even talk, and I have such great communication with these people. So a lot of times in life, the reference points that people have, they can't even measure what's possible or what they're missing out on because their reference point is just what they have. So, you know, how do we do this with websites and marketing? Is like, you know, the swimming part is like Michael Phelps's good swimmer is a different definition than me or you swimming, right? So everybody has different definitions. So the key is to ask vital questions to the people that you guys are talking to and say, hey, has it been optimized for keywords and SEO? And get them thinking about, well, maybe there could be something that I could do better, you know, that I'm not doing. And if I do something better, maybe I'll get more business, right? So it's not convincing other people, it's having them ask the questions in their mind and having their own light bulbs go off and go, you know what, Jesse? Based on what you just told me, gosh, I'm thinking we're not doing this, we're not doing this. You don't have to tell them they're not doing it. You just have to raise those questions for them to come up with that, assumption. Authorship, metadata, schema, rich snippets. Sometimes you guys are going to run across people that sell products. Not only do they have a service, but they sell products. So a lot of salons, they have hair products. A lot of people that do lawn care have, fertilizer and different things like that. So a lot of times when people have an e-commerce site, some of these things are really important to actually get into the feeds onto Google when it comes to them trying to sell their products. And these are more advanced things, but there's different things that we can do for people that can help them maybe more than what they can do for themselves. There's a famous quote, and I don't remember who said it, but the quote is, wealth is hidden from people that must do things themselves. And that just means if you try to do everything yourself in life, then what happens is you don't have enough time and you never get to anything, and it's just based on your skill. So if you're not around, then your business is not going to run. That's the advantage of hiring an expert that's better than you, someone that's better than you, to actually do this stuff, is one, you can do what you do great, and we can do what we do great, and it helps each other. Like you use your time valuably, and then we help you get more business, right? So that's a little bit on website. And I can send you guys an article. There's actually an article on Moz, which is one of the reference points that we use. It's an authoritative site out there that a lot of internet marketers use, moz.com. And it's got all the on-page factors that are important. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you guys become an expert on internet marketing. I remember, it's funny, I've worked with Martin several times over the last couple of years where we've helped grow sales teams and build companies and bring on accounts. And I remember some of the best salespeople that I had, they would go out and they would get Google certified, and they would get pay-per-click certified, and they would get all these certifications, and then their sales would drop. And it was because they started holding on to all the stuff they knew, and they were fire hosing people. They were giving them too much information. So it's really important to have that balance between just a little taste and too much, and to notice that. So, make sense? Yeah? Yeah. This is Google. When you look at Google, a lot of times people look at Google and they don't know how this works, but up here is what we call the ads. It's called the Google AdWords. And so you pay for this right here, and they've done research that when people go to Google, 20% of the people go to the ads, and 80% of the people go to the SEO or the organic search results.
Wow.
So it's an 80 to 20 rule, and that's why everybody's trying to get here. But here, you can't just pay for it and rent it and just jump in there. I call the pay-per-click right here, I call it like renting an apartment. Like when you pay the rent, then you can stay there. But if you don't pay the rent, they evict you. Mm-hmm. And Google's even worse than that. If your budget is $500, or let's just say your budget's $2,000, and you're a plastic surgeon, the average cost per click could be anywhere between $10 to $30 a click, because a plastic surgeon on average can make anywhere between $5 to $10 grand on each customer. So me and the other 5 plastic surgeons in Pasadena, we all are spending 10, 20, 30 grand a month just on advertising, or else we're not even in the game, right? So now what happens is, let's say you're, as a plastic surgeon, your budget is $2,000 a day. And let's just say somebody else is spending $5,000 a day. If your budget ends by noon, your ad will not show up here for the rest of the day because you've gone through your budget. So it's only pay per click. It's like an auction. So you bid on it, and then they give you that space. But if someone outbids you, you're not in that space. And if your budget runs out, you're not in that space. So this is kind of like renting a house. This is like owning a house, where you actually own the home. You build the foundation, and then now you have that space 24/7. If you want to charge rent for it, you could. If you want to sell leads to other people, you could. If you want to sell your company has more value because you have an asset. Because now you have a space on Google that you build up over a period of time.
And the way you build that up is what you're saying that we do.
Yeah, with the search engine optimization is the organic. And I'm telling the difference between these two because a lot of times people don't know, and they'll ask you, like, what's better, pay-per-click or SEO? So with pay-per-click, the average click-through rate, and this is just for you to get in numbers and understand it, you don't have to share this with people, but the click-through rate for pay-per-click is 1 to 3%. That's a really good click-through rate, is 1 to 3%. The click-through rate down here, where 80% of the traffic is 10 to 13%. So there's even a higher click-through rate on the organic versus the pay-per-click. And what's cool with the organic is once you get there, you might be going after certain keywords, but as people click through your site, if it's got a good user experience, a good click-through rate, you're going to start ranking for more keywords too, besides the ones that you're going after. So a lot of times clients that go after 10 or 20 keywords with us, they get ranked for, after 6 to 8 months, they might be ranked for 700 different keywords because of all the content that we're writing and the links that we're building and all the stuff we're not paying attention to is actually generating results too. But we focus on those 10 kind of goals, but they get all the other benefits. Here, you kind of get what you pay for. You pay for those keywords, you get clicks. And then what Google does is they serve you for more keywords. Some of those might not be related to what you do. And I'll show you examples of that a little bit later, where I'll actually show you guys like some waste in someone's account. And some of your jaws will probably drop open because you'll be like, wow, somebody's paying for that. And Google gives it to them because it's a way for Google to make money. Google doesn't know anything about any company. They're an algorithm. It's like AI, right? It's like artificial intelligence. So a lot of times people will ask you these questions that are silly, like, what do you know about roofing? Or what do you know about landscaping? But Google doesn't know anything about any of that. It's just all mathematical. It's based on the algorithm, and that's what we use when we go to do marketing, whether it comes with like SEO or pay-per-click, is we look at the algorithms, we look at the click-through rates, we look at the metrics, because the metrics and the results and the documentation mean a hell of a lot more than anything we could guess, right? So that's a little bit about organic and pay-per-click. So, okay, so what is SEO? SEO, in my opinion, it's a very holistic approach. It's like having a really well-balanced diet. And ages ago when it first started, a lot of people would buy backlinks, they would just do meta tags, and that would be SEO. Now, it's comprised of about anywhere between 25 to 100 different factors. So it's not simple, but it's more of like a science, right? It's not like an exact math, but what we have to do when we do SEO is we have to measure and test, and we have to pay attention and see what's working and what's not working. A lot of times in companies, people don't pay attention. They get busy through their day-to-day activities. I mean, I'm sure you guys have gone to do appointments with business owners before, and they're like, oh my God, like, I have this emergency. Someone just showed up and I need to talk to them. Can you wait a half hour? Things are always happening in their day. They're getting a lot of distractions. So one of the things is keyword research. So for SEO, what we'll do is we'll go and we'll research which keywords are being searched. Most business owners these days, and I think I have this somewhere later on in the presentation, I think that about half of them have no idea how their marketing is doing. They don't track it. Their phone might ring, but they don't know where it comes from specifically, right? So what we do is we do keyword research, which is to find out that maybe Roofing Pasadena has 500 searches, where Hire a Roofer in Pasadena might have 10. And we decide who we're going to go after depending on the research. So we do research. We also build links. We'll go and build links, local links. We'll build links to like a blog, with content where that's going to come up, and then it kind of gives juice back to their website. We might do local listings. We might put something on Facebook that has an image that builds a link of an image on Google image search that links back to their website. So we do a bunch of link building. Again, depending on the client, there's all different patterns that we observe depending on the industry. We optimize their sitemap within their website so that their website is aligned with the targets that we're going after when it comes to SEO. Software development, HTML. Sometimes we notice that maybe a client's site is not loading quickly, and we'll give them a suggestion because that's kind of part of SEO. We'll say, hey, we can optimize your site It might be 3 or 4 hours. It might cost you a couple $100. But if you do this, it's going to make a big impact, on your SEO. So we'll give them suggestions. We're not going to just keep our mouth shut because they're going to look at us to be responsible for their marketing. If we don't tell them that they have a busted tire on their car, then they're going to come back to us and blame us and go, why doesn't the marketing work? And it's because maybe there's something wrong with the website. So looking at kind of like their web design and saying, hey, do you have a form fill on your website? Maybe there's no call to action. Maybe when you go to the website, there's no phone number anywhere. I can't find the phone number. It's all the way down on the bottom. It's not above the fold. So there might be some suggestions that we could do or tweak that could maybe take a few minutes, or we could say, hey, we have this list of suggestions that might take us a couple hours, but if we do this, we think it's going to improve your results. So we give them suggestions on that. Feedback, again, communication is key. We want to tell a client like, hey, your competitor is doing this, you're not. Do you want to do what they're doing, or do you want to just kind of keep it away? Like, you don't need any extra business, because sometimes businesses are okay where they are. They don't want extra business. There's people out there like that, where you say, hey, do you want to double in size next year? No, we can't handle it. We'd have to hire more people, right? So you're always going to have some of those people. Coming up with a strategy. So, we launch the site, we optimize it, we come up with an SEO strategy. Sometimes we have to redirect that strategy depending on what's going on in the market. And things change with Google every couple months. So we've had clients before where we start one strategy with them and Google does an update. There was one a long time ago called the Penguin update, where people got slapped to like the back page or blacklisted because people were doing a lot of stuff where they were trying to cheat the system and they weren't doing it the right way. There's updates all the time on Google. If you type it into Google, they come out with like hundreds of updates per year, and then you just have to know how it applies to your clients and be ready for it. Social network, social media is important as like a trust factor to influence people when it comes to SEO. Content, there's content on the website, there's content that we write for clients, and some people do extra content like video content or interviews. Like I have one construction company, like they're on reality TV, where like they do these amazing reality TV makeovers as a remodeling company, and they use that for their marketing, and we SEO those videos, and that helps them get more clientele because now that video is ranked in Google, and people see that video and click on that video before they click on any website, right? So that can help you too. Ranking. One of the key phrases that I think is important when it comes to marketing or business is documentation beats conversation. So what we want to do is we want to show them like, hey, we've improved your ranks, we've gotten you results. Because when it really comes down to it, all this really doesn't mean a whole lot if they don't get results, right? They don't want to hear lip service on we did this, we did this, we did this. They want to know, well, what did you deliver? How did you make my phone ring, right? And so that's super important. Any questions about SEO so far? Cool. So one of the key questions that I've asked owners in the past, and as I've trained sales teams and talked to owners of companies, is the importance of conversion tracking. And conversion tracking doesn't just have to do with the internet, it has to do with everything within the company. So for example, if you go into a business and let's say they're running ads, let's say they're doing a print ad or they're doing an email blast, and you were to ask that business owner, what percentage of calls comes from the emails? What percentage of calls comes from the ad, the print ad? The magazine ad that you ran or the cable ad that you ran, what percentage comes from that? And if they're running a business to try to maximize it and to like really have a hockey stick curve of growth when it comes to like their sales and their revenue, they would be tracking that information. And that's why some companies grow so quickly in today's market is of technology and tracking and looking at the analytics. I used to be really confused by a lot of information. I'm really a people person, but as soon as I understood the analytics and the metrics, I was like, wow, this is kind of magical. The metrics actually gives you a recipe to actually grow a company. But a lot of people don't have these metrics. So how can you track conversion? So this is just some, I can send you guys these slides too, just so you know. But 97%, right here, this 42% have no tracking of all the companies out there have no tracking whatsoever. No tracking. These one right here, poor tracking, is 29%. So between these two, you're looking at almost 70-some% as either poor tracking or no tracking. That means they're running their business in the dark. And I know there's a lot of companies out there that I've met before that do like $10 million a year in revenue with just their family, with just like 10 or 12 people in the office, family-run business, mom, dad, sister, aunt, uncle, couple friends, and they do 10 million a year, and they have no tracking because they just think, well, we hit a niche, we got lucky. But they never look at the tracking part because they just figure their business is running great. And then you put tracking and analytics and metrics in there, and the company goes from 10 million to 50 million. So there's a big difference that people are missing out on just from the tracking. How can we track the conversions? And one of the reasons why we like to put conversion tracking in place is because we can build value in what we're doing actually makes money, right? So what we're going to do with the clients for the first 90 days is we're going to do what we call call tracking. So we're going to track calls, because call tracking is like $30, $40, $50 a month cost. But you can see, like, when someone goes on to Google and they search like Pizza Pasadena, that's what they searched. It went to a dynamic number to their website. And now on the report, it'll say this is the keyword they went to, and these are the pages they visited before they called. And by the way, here's the recorded call. And then you get to actually hear how people answer the phone in your own company, because then when you play the recording, you go, oh my God, I can't believe that Jesse didn't tell them that we have pepperoni and like we could deliver, and like there's these little gold nuggets, not to make people wrong, but to come up with like these amazing treasures where it's like, wow, I found some more money. I found some more money. Wow, we didn't even offer them the special we were having for the week. And now as an owner of a company, you have insights into your company to actually raise the value and train your people better to raise your revenue. So looking at what's being said on the phone and what questions are asked and how people are guided. And maybe someone's got an attitude with the customer. Maybe it's got to be like elevation of their voice change, Like maybe their pitch has to be a little bit more smooth and calm as opposed to a little bit more rough. And I mean, Martin can tell you, because we built like call centers and QA around sales and stuff like that, that recording gives you so many clues. There's no gray area there. It's just like documented, right? So call tracking is one way that you can track conversions. The second way you can track conversions is form fills on a website. You can track that into your Google Analytics down to the keyword and down the time and down the day. And there's a lot of different behaviors that you can see of what actually leads to that behavior. Then you can duplicate it and you can scale up when it comes to actually growing your company. Now, you guys become the heroes, because if you bring somebody on board and we track these conversions, like it's almost like the sun came out and they're like, oh my God, people are singing. They're like, wow, this is amazing. Because some people just get stuck in a rut even when it comes to business, where it's just the same old day, over and over. And so you can bring some freshness to them. It says right here, 29% have good tracking. And so conversion tracking could be Google Analytics. It could be a form fill. So for example, some of the clients that we have, they have one page specifically for roofing, one page for landscaping, one page for construction, one page for solar. Each one of those forms and each one of those pages is a separate form that goes to a separate analytics that would tell them, hey, we're getting more solar leads than we are construction. Maybe we should put the construction stuff on the solar page, right? So there's different behaviors that we can dial into for conversions. You guys have any questions about the conversions? And email marketing too, you can track conversions too. We can see what links they clicked on, which ones they opened, how many times did they visit it, what action did they take after that. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can see, and a lot of times it will help you guide your marketing strategy to be like, oh, you know what? Forget about the email blast. These videos that we do get so much more traction. And every time we send an email with 4 videos, like we get a call. So, you know, if people have the bandwidth within a marketing team, sometimes they'll try different things and they'll measure, okay, 2 videos didn't work, 3 videos worked. You know, 1 audio and a blog and a newsletter, that worked even better. So let's follow that pattern. So you can uncover a lot of really cool things. This is the call tracking. We use a company called CallRail. There's a lot of other companies out there. But CallRail, basically to know what makes your phone ring. If you were to just take all the information I'm giving you today and you just ask a customer, hey, if I could get your phone to ring more, would that excite you? With real customers, right? Like people that want to buy from you. That would excite them, right? Or if you could put more money in their pocket, that would excite them. So when you're talking to a customer, it's important to get like, what do they want? What do they want to turn their business into? And you got to get them aligned with their commitment and what they're committed to before you start selling them something, because you want to be able to tie it back into like their commitment of what they're trying to do, right? This is just like a dashboard from CallRail, and it basically says like Google Paid, Google Organic, ad extensions, and it's got direct mail. So you can tie in different tracking numbers into the call tracking so that you can actually go in here and see a graph and have like a nice pretty visual where you can see, oh wow, most of our calls came from Google Organic and you know, from Google Paid. Maybe we should do more of that, right? So then people can make an educated decision on what works and what doesn't work. I'll tell you a story. Like I had a client, and he did this hardware. It was like door hardware, like for architecture and stuff like that. And he didn't even make the doors. He was just a retail. Like he would buy it wholesale, sell it retail, and he was doing like about almost $10 million a year. And I remembered I asked him. I said, well, when your phone rings, where does the call come from? He'd go, well, I assumed it just came off of the internet. And I'm like, well, which part of the internet? He's like, I don't know. I figured it's probably just Google. But he was spending $17,000 in pay-per-click and another $8,000 in SEO. And then he was doing all these other ads and things like that. But he wasn't tracking it. And then the other thing that he was doing, he was taking the leads and he was forwarding it over to the sales reps. And I said, well, which one of your sales reps has the highest conversion ratio? And he looked at me like really strange. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do you have any kind of CRM or anything that tracks the leads? Like, how do you know that Jesse called that lead last week? He's like, I don't. I just forwarded it over to him. I go, well, what if he was sick that week? What are you going to do with the lead, right? Like, so he had no idea like what was going on within his business, but he was doing $5-10 million a year. And so that's an example that some of these companies that are doing really well, they don't have tracking. They don't have a way to track their phone calls. And I mean, that guy got a client off the internet that had to do with George Lucas films and Star Wars. And it was funny because I remember we got him a full editorial like in a paper down in Manhattan Beach. And I asked the owner of the company, I said, tell me a little bit about your company. Like, what are some of the highlights of your company? You know, a lot of times people don't want to talk about themselves, or they don't realize some amazing things that they've done as a company. And I got into this session with him and I was like, well, tell me about some of your clients. And he goes, well, actually we handle all these chains across the whole United States, like 130 stores of this big brand. And I was like, have you done a press release on that? No. And then he told me about George Lucas with this big sound stage. And I'm like, have you told anybody about that? And I'm like, no. And then he told me that he rattled off all these other things that were just amazing. And I was like, wow, we could have used this in the marketing for like social media. We could have put up a picture of the sound stage of George Lucas. And so I ended up calling and I pitched him. I got him an editorial, like a 2-page spread. And I pitched the editor like all the amazing stuff that he's done. And they went out and interviewed him. And he had a whole page spread for free. And then we got him a write-up on this big architectural thing where they took high-resolution images, and he ended up in one of Samuel Jackson's films you know, off of, they found him online because he was ranked #1. So some really cool things can happen to you as a company, you know, if people find you. And that's like another story. I mean, the fact that your stuff's in a movie with Samuel Jackson and Quentin Tarantino, I mean, how does that help your sales pitch, right? So he wasn't really maximizing what he had done as a company. So when we walk into these companies and we help them with their marketing, part of the marketing is understanding their business, right? So if we can understand their business as far as what works for them, then we can help them scale up and they'll be really happy and they'll stay with you guys for years and years and years. And they'll refer people to you, right? They'll give you referrals. So tracking is really key. Any questions on the tracking? No? Does it make sense?
But like, for example, the tracking, like the graph you said. So
Yeah.
when we deal with our clients, we're going to be showing them.
They would get a graph.
They would get a graph. And what if they're not doing anything except us? How would, like say you're saying there, they have, newspaper ads.
Yeah, so I mean, I could probably spend a couple hours, but there's actually different, it kind of like opens up. So when you go into keywords under Google Organic, you'll see the keywords they've searched. You'll even see the behavior. You might see that they went to the contact page, the home page. I have people that do luxury vacation rentals. Maybe they go to the 2-bedroom all the time. And then now the client wants to go and purchase real estate. Maybe they buy more 2-bedrooms than 1-bedrooms, because it's more popular. These are things that a lot of people don't think about, but if you're growing a company and you want to maximize it, you think about some of these things.
Just to add to all this, the way I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about our business.
Yeah.
We're a small business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'm thinking about what I do as the CEO. And it's really what I'm not doing. It's what I'm really starting to hear. Okay. Because, for example, we've noticed that there's been a decline in call-in.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is the case. And then we also don't really understand what is our website doing.
Correct.
Yeah. Our actual beaconmedianews.com website.
Yeah.
So this is making me think. So I'm thinking to myself, if this is making me think, that's the same way any other business owner is going to be. You really start realizing, wow, I don't really understand where our business is coming from and which is performing well. I'm even thinking about the legals now. Do I know which agency really gives us the most business? And if so, then I should focus on that. So see what I'm saying? So in a sense, you almost have to put yourself in that person's shoes. I'm not looking at this as you're selling me anything. I'm really starting to examine our business here and saying, wow, I'm not working smart and don't know why there's attrition or decrease in our revenue. What? Well, I just look at that one component. That would be like, you guys would be like search engine optimization. I know what's coming in. Like you said, the leads that come in. Because we're small, I kind of know who to give it to, but a lot of times I don't know if it was converted to business. Sometimes I say to you later, whatever happened to that? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is how most business owners are performing. So this, if nothing else, again, he hasn't sold me anything, but he's really got me here thinking, I need to be doing, I'm starting to write these things down. How are we doing? So he has not sold me anything, but my wheels are really turning. So I'm just saying, this is what I'm getting. I would think if you were presented like this, any intelligent business person that want their business to grow, they're gonna start listening from that point of view. Okay. Yeah, that's all I just wanted to input.
Yeah. All right. No, and that's today when people start companies and they have millions of dollars, like all these startups, they talk about a lot of these things right off the get-go because they don't want any money to fall between the cracks. Because most people are guessing. There's a difference between knowing down to the fact and just guessing. And so before, when I had done like consulting with other companies and businesses, I found that if people got emotional and they got upset about maybe something they didn't know about, the key thing was to track the metrics and then focus on the metrics, not the emotions. And don't get don't get upset with your people, but look at the metrics of your business and take the emotions out of it and go, okay, listen, this is not personal. This is where we are as a company, and now we're going to realign, and this is going to work better for everyone. And at least we can track it, and we can train people too. Like sometimes when people don't perform, it's not a negative; it's just a training issue. Like we did like an observation on a bunch of recordings of some of our top producers in some other companies that we built, and we found that the top producer, when we measured kind of like the time of their call and what they talked about, we came up with patterns. And then what we did was we shared that with the other people that weren't doing as well, and all their sales went up. So sometimes you can get a really cool gift in that, and sometimes you get a gift even in the bad stuff, because the bad stuff is just an opportunity for you to become better and learn something new. And sometimes that bad thing just raises the consciousness of the business, where now the business is thinking on a better level. So I'll talk about the products. Do you guys want to have a short break?
I do.
Yeah, why don't we take a short break?
At least once every hour.
Yeah.
You have to RSVP.
You ready?
You have to, like, thanks for coming in on. But it's like, you know, what do you call it? You guys shouldn't pay attention. It's on Facebook.
Ready?
Robin said, I'm coming.
Okay, cool.
It's on Facebook.
Cool. So the first product that I want to go over that we have for Beacon Media News is to go over the local SEO ranking starter. And this is really vital for a lot of local businesses because of mobile phones and being found on the maps and being found locally, because, you know, local business, a lot of people like to do business with people locally that are close to them. You know,
We're all about local here.
yeah. Or even like these days, the big trend is, eat local food,
Yeah.
do local business, you know, buy locally.
All chambers do it all the time.
Right. So
They don't do it, though.
when it comes to the local, we still target the keywords with SEO. We still optimize the website because that's all part of SEO. It's just not as competitive as if we're going after a national brand. Like this other brand that we had that I talked about that did the Samuel Jackson, you know, film with Quentin Tarantino. They wanted to be ranked #1 on Google for a specific keyword across the whole United States, all 50 states. So that's more of an aggressive campaign. Again, like they were doing about $17,000 to $20,000 a month on their pay-per-click, and they were doing another $7,000 or $8,000 with us on the SEO, and we ended up having them get ranked #1 above Home Depot. And you know, the owner of the company, I mean, every day he would call us. You would think he would get up at 6 a.m., go to Google, and check to see where he was. That's how vital being #1 on Google was for him. So if he could just get it to move up the page, he knew the value. He knew that his phones were going to ring. He knew that he was going to do more business. And we get clients like that. And I've seen clients that are really, you know, they have a championship mentality. They go on Google every day. They check out their business. They look at their competitors and they go, how come Bobby's Steaks is on page 1? You know, like, I don't get it. You know, we have a better website. We have a better this. We have a better that. You know, why is he there? And it drives them nuts, right? So a lot of times when you go to talk to people, you want to ask them, like, who are your top 2 or 3 people that you want to grow up and be like, or you want to beat, or you want to knock off of Google? Or is there anybody you have your eye on with marketing where you're like, wow, they're doing a really good job? Because if we can emulate those people, we can actually reverse engineer, do a backlink like scrape on that client's site. We can look at all their backlinks. We can look at what they post on, what the content is that they post on. We can look at their ad history. We can look at everything within their business that we can find, which is probably a lot more accurate than people even running their own company, right? So we can actually tap in on some of those trends, and then we can apply it to the company that we're working with. And that's a much more calculated marketing strategy than just guessing. I used to joke with people, I said that most companies have the spaghetti method of marketing. On my way here, I passed the old spaghetti factory. I went to Sprouts to get some water, but I saw this spaghetti factory and it reminded me, I was like, oh my God. Like, that's like most marketing companies. Like, they just throw a bunch of spaghetti against the wall and then like something sticks and they make some money. But if you could determine like maybe which piece of spaghetti was going to make money, then you could serve more of that. And I have a background in the restaurant industry, and I know that like some of the companies that I had worked with, one restaurant did like 15 million a year when I was there, and they had tracking software. They wanted to see what people ordered and how much of it they ordered, because they had to do prep work, and then what do we take off the menu, what do we put on the menu, and that's how any company should run within like what you're delivering to your customer, and even looking at your team within your company. Like I had one mentor before that told me that your employees and your team are actually your first customer and your most important customer, because they determine the morale of your business and the momentum. And so you got to sell your own people before you sell other people, right? So even just bringing on an SEO company and bringing on marketing will create excitement within a company. So maybe you go down and give me a name of, I don't know, a certain kind of industry, a business. Pizza. Yeah, so you go to pizza parlor, maybe you go there all the time and it's the same kind of energy. It's kind of stagnant. And maybe the employees, maybe they have a high turnover. But all of a sudden now, maybe some of them are thinking of leaving or something. And all of a sudden they hire Beacon Media News for digital marketing. And now all of a sudden all the employees are excited and they're more enthusiastic, because they know there's going to be more orders and more leads. They're going to make more money, more deliveries. So a lot of times bringing something new into a company will give it a boost. And so that's something that will actually raise the morale. So, it's really key to kind of look at how this can impact a company, not just on a marketing level, but on a morale level too. Like I used to deal with large sales teams, and a lot of the salespeople, like if they didn't have fresh leads, they were kind of whatever. It's like the same old deal. But now somebody's calling them, and they got more leads, and they're making more money. When everyone's making more money, everybody's more excited. They get to expand. They open up new locations. They turn up their marketing, because the marketing has to support the growth, right? So we go after a number of keywords. We optimize their Google Places, which is like their local listing. You guys probably have all seen that before, like the Google Maps. Mm-hmm. But now within Google Maps, there's actually insights where you can see the number of phone calls. Like my one client that I have, they do luxury real estate rentals in Palm Desert, and we did a Google ad, almost like the one I'm going to talk to you guys about, the Google Boost, for a couple $100 a month. And literally in the last 90 days, they've had, I think, 130 calls, like off of their Google My Business. And not only are they ranked, but Google My Business is almost like your own website in a way, because you can go in there and look at your insights. You can look at the search. There's a whole dashboard built into it. And so we can provide that to the client and show how there's been an uptick. And again, we changed the content of the Google My Business to optimize it for the keywords, right? Let's see. And these are all within the services that you guys have. But local page creation, some people haven't finished completing their local Google My Business. They might have their name and their number. They might not have the hours. They might not have any video content. They might not have really images that pop off the page that look tasty and delicious in any sense. Like I had a guy that called me last week who I had met somewhere, and I told him a story about some of my marketing, and he called me and he's like, "Oh, I need you to help me." And I looked at his pictures, and he's got a property up in Utah, and he does vacation rentals too. And I looked at his pictures, and I was like, "Man, I hate to break the bad news to you, but I wouldn't stay at your place. All the pictures are dark. What's this down here? A paint can and like a cigarette butt ashtray?" And I'm like, "Hey, I want to go have a relaxing time. I don't want to be distracted by wondering if I'm going to show up at a halfway house." You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, some pictures can look that bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Someone used to compare a bad website or a bad, Google Maps thing to almost like a haunted house. Like you come up to the front and you're like, "Oh, I don't want to go in there," right? So your impression is so important these days, especially for Google My Business and local business, because people that are local, they want to know, hey, it's a good looking business. I can trust them. I think the famous phrase is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So like if your Google My Business is all sloppy and you have no pictures up that are good, they probably don't want to do business on some subconscious level because they're like, I don't know how they're going to be with customer service because they can't even put up a good picture. Why is there a cat there with the dark alley? It doesn't make sense. And some pictures are really scary. So a lot of times we can get stock footage. We can go take pictures. You can have someone come out and take pictures. Like even as a business, they have something called the Google tour guide thing where they come out and they actually do a virtual tour and they can load that up on your Google My Business, which sometimes it costs a small fee, but there's certified Google photographers that come out. Some places, like for vacation rentals, I know that the places like Airbnb and other places will actually come out and take pictures for free because they're making money off of your listing, right? So they send out a photographer and they take these amazing pictures. So images are really important. The other thing on Google My Business is content, like putting up specials. There's now even a blog post on Google My Business. So you could actually be writing content and posting to Google My Business, which helps from a local optimization standpoint. Positive reviews. This is important. Sometimes somebody might have 20 positive reviews and somebody else only has 5. Sometimes Google will give the positioning to somebody that has more reviews and has better organic rankings, right? So it was funny. I had this one client and they're just obsessed with their competitor. And they rank better. They're number 1 on Google. They do social media. The site looks better. Everything looks better. But their client, the competitor, has 79 reviews and they have 78. And I did a whole audit. Like, they're obsessed. Like, they don't even care that we're doing all the other stuff. They're just like, how do we beat them? And there's no guarantees on Google, but there's a bunch of factors. So we went through this whole audit sheet. Has to do with like the website. And why am I telling you this? Because we're talking about Google My Business, but we're looking at the domain authority on their website. We're looking at the content on their website. We're looking at their ranking factors on organic SEO. We're looking to see what's their social media like. We're looking to see the actual map location on the map. Is it closer than somebody else's? So we're looking at all these different criteria, and you ask yourself, well, what does that have to do with Google My Business? Well, Google is the one that ranks people on a local level. So if you have a bad ranking on your website and bad ranking organically, your Google My Business might not come up on the top. And what I'm trying to say is that every little piece influences every other piece. So sometimes people go, what's the value of social media? Well, it's a value because your competitor has social media and they talk about their Google My Business and you don't. And maybe that's why they're ranked number 1, like on Google My Business. So sometimes you don't know specifically what it is, and you've got to look at some of these other things that maybe you're like, oh, it's not that. And sometimes it's that, right? So we go through and we look at that.
Does Google sometimes rotate the listings on
No.
Google My Business, or is it pretty static?
They might rotate it. Like the only way it might rotate is, let's just say that pizza place is 1 mile closer to you than maybe somebody else's pizza place that's 10 miles away. But there's a lot of different factors that go into it. The other thing that we build off of Google My Business is what we call citations. And these are optimized links off of Google My Business on maps that have specific keywords and kind of structure to them that would actually get you ranked higher. The other thing too is even placing the Google My Business on your website in a specific manner, in a specific way. A lot of times people just put the location on a general map on their website, and Google crawls your website too. It's got all this data that kind of goes around. It's a bot. And a lot of times just putting your locations on your website that's ranked with the right coding so that your Google My Business shows up on your website that's ranked might rank you higher. So there's all these little things that we look at. We're like little scientists. We're like, oh my God, how do we do this? But there's never any guarantee on Google. A lot of times we're successful for the company, and sometimes it's not even about ranking too. Like when it comes to the local thing, if their traffic goes up, like sometimes people will be number 1 and maybe their traffic is 100 people a month. But what if they have a whole bunch of 2 and 3 rankings, but their traffic is 1,000 a month? So we look at traffic and we look at rankings because the goal is to raise traffic and get more eyeballs that are qualified to that business. Sometimes it's not about being number one. It might take too much effort, to get number one. Maybe we can get them number two. Maybe they might need to redo their whole website. Maybe they're not ready for that. We had one client, they did anti-aging HGH. It's kind of like a nutritional thing to kind of stay young and for men to lose weight and women. And it was kind of a funny thing. Like they wanted to rank on the first page for HGH, which is really competitive. And we took them from they were position 70, and we got 8 out of 10 keywords ranked on the first page, literally within 4 to 7 months. And they were hooked on that one big competitive keyword, that HGH. And we said, well, you're going to have to change the format of your website, because we went and did research on the first page of Google, and we found that 8 out of 10 of those websites were all in WordPress in a different platform that they were in, and they were in a whole nother platform that was old, that they didn't want to touch because they could save people's credit card numbers on the website, which is probably not secure, right, in this day and age. But they didn't want to spend the money to change the website. And we've had some clients, they don't want to spend the money for their website, and then 2 years later they realize they got to spend the money. Some people are on old formats like ASP.NET and things that tie into databases, and some people are on that and they don't even need to be. They don't even have a database. But it's just people evolving and growing and kind of improving the look and the feel and the energy of your business. And right now what's going on in the world with people being conscious and purpose-driven and what's going on in the news, there's something now that they actually teach in colleges, which is actually purpose-driven businesses that actually support the environment. So now it's not just about your business, but it's about the philosophy behind your business and how your business supports the community and how they support local events and things like that. So there's new energy and new dynamics that are being taken into marketing. That client that it took 2 years to do a website, he did naturopathic medicine. He was a naturopathic doctor. And his website looked like a walk in the desert. It was this dusty kind of trail ride. And we brightened it up and gave it some pop and made it vibrant and energetic, and it looks so much better. But sometimes people get attached to certain things that they like as the owner, and then when they finally change it, because a lot of times nobody wants to speak up with the owner and tell the owner, hey, your site doesn't look good. But then when they change the site, everyone's like, wow, the site looks really good. So it makes an impact. Phones and email. On the Google My Business, one time I was doing consulting. Have you guys ever heard of Hillstone Restaurants? Have you guys ever heard of Houston's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or there's some, they have 72 restaurants around the United States. They own some wineries and gas stations too. Well, they contacted me, and it was so funny. They brought me in. They said, and this is just I think it was about last year, the year before that. They said, we have to figure out this internet thing. And I'm like, what? You guys are a $700 million company. What do you mean you got to figure out the internet thing? And so I did an audit on their site, and I went in with their team in Beverly Hills, and it turned out I was going to go check out one of their restaurants, and when I put up the listing and I did a scan on all their local listings, I was like, how come their restaurant's not open? It says it's closed. Right? So I didn't go. And then I called up somebody at the company. I was like, hey, is your Century City location shut down? Because on my map it said closed. Well, someone didn't update and edit the hours, so the location said closed. So imagine how many people like me go to the Google My Business or go to the local listing and it says closed. I'm not bringing my friends there to look like a clown, and be like, oh, here we are and it's closed, right? So I'll just go somewhere else. But sometimes it's the little things that people don't notice. It could even just be a phone number. It could be, oh my gosh, we never updated an email. And now the emails are going in for leads and nobody's getting them. So what we do when we do the local business is we do a scan of the address. And we get about 200 different listings. And we have a software that we use. And what we do is we look for the consistency in the listings out there. And it could be Yellow Pages, it could be YP, it could be all these different things. We don't know where people are going to find you. Those are all relative links for SEO. But if they're not consistent with Google, then Google says, this other company is consistent. Let's just give them the listing because I don't know if this one's in business or not. They have all these different numbers. So sometimes it's just like the little things that are the difference. You know, when I was talking about Michael Phelps earlier and I was watching, you know, these swimmers yesterday, I was like, you know, the difference between like the gold medal, we're talking like a couple of seconds, right? And sometimes you have to look at life like that when it comes to being in business is like, hey, the difference between being number one on Google and getting all the calls and not is a little different. I had a guy that worked for me one time, I'll tell you this other story too, but I remember like he was apparently like an SEO expert and he did a really good job, but he had his own belief system and his own definition of what was good and what wasn't good. And so he said, well, the meta tags don't make that much of a difference. Like they're not the end all be all, like on the website. A lot of times it'll crawl the content. And so it's not really the meta tags, it's more so the content. And I understood what he said. But then I was like, well, what about the image alt tags? Like all the image, because we were trying to get number one, right? For this one client. And he's like, well, those really aren't that big of a deal either, right? So I'm kind of doing the math. I'm like a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And it was funny. I said, well, what about the description on Google? Like, what if we do something with that? And I actually interviewed a gentleman that does consulting, and he charges like $20,000, I think, for a day or an hour or whatever. His name's Neil Patel, and Amazon has hired him. And I did a podcast with him, and he had written an article on click-through rate. And he said, you know, a lot of times it's not even about stuffing the actual search, whatever comes up in the search engine with the keywords. It's more about writing compelling content that creates a higher click-through rate. Like we have the widest variety, as opposed to stuffing the keyword in there. The keyword might be, I don't know, pet toys. But the widest variety of pet toys made more people click. So we raised the click-through rate and the client went number one, but the guy that I had that worked for me swore that it wasn't that. But all the little things do add up over a period of time. If you start just missing all the little things, they all add up to something big, you know, when it comes to revenue. So local listings is pretty powerful for a local business because if they come up first on the maps and their site's mobile friendly and all that good stuff, we look at all that when it goes to local SEO. We look at, you know, the whole deck of listings on all those different platforms. And then we give them reports and stuff like that. Any questions?
How often you give them reports? Like say for example.
Every month.
Every month?
Yeah.
Once a month.
Yeah. So we, you know, we optimize the maps. The Google My Business now, you can actually get your own website. Like it's not a real website, but some people kind of cheat the system. But Google My Business, you can get what they call a local site, which is Google My Business. It acts as like a website for people that don't have a website. They just figured they'd give somebody, you know, like an ad value. But how to dominate the local market? You know, daily deals. A lot of times people will also do promotions on their local business. You can also run ads on Google My Business too. So like if someone goes to do the maps, you can run an ad where your local page will come up off of your Google My Business, and then you can track the phone calls on that too. A lot of people don't realize that, and it's not really that expensive for the Google My Business ads. You know, we have clients that spend a couple $100 a month, and we optimize them and everything, and they get calls and they get business and the social media, the reviews.
That's the same as
This
Google
is how to
Boost.
dominate your local, you know. Your
Are
local.
those ad boost? Not the boost, Google Boost.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you're saying, so the search engine already says here, so the Facebook saying that the client does this SEO marketing, and he has a Facebook. He could actually post a Facebook post video every day.
Yeah. He could if he wanted to.
I know, but what are we supplying him with? Like if he did this, you know, he's already doing that now. Why would he?
What we would do is we would take that content and then we would use it to build links. A lot of times people, when they go on even just their local Facebook page, they haven't optimized the page properly. My wife, she's starting a vegan food line. She's doing like these cauliflower pizza crusts and all these different things, and she's just launching it. A bunch of stores are now placing orders, and she's got a website and all that stuff. And last night she was going through Facebook and redoing all the descriptions and putting stuff in there, because most people are really lazy. They don't know. I mean, they just don't know these things make a difference, right? They put up a business, they put up the address, they put up the phone number.
Well, no, for example, like the guy I talk about, who I actually want to send an email to have a presentation, is he does that almost every day. He's a Mexican restaurant. And to me, it's okay because I know him, but it's himself on his phone saying, hey, today is come by a happy hour and here's the food that we're going to be having, blah, blah, blah. And that's what he does.
Right.
And then I want to tell him, well, we can do it better. And he's going to say, well, why, what can you do better? And why is this bad? Because I'm getting people coming for happy hour.
So sometimes you can't say the right thing to the wrong people,
Correct.
no matter what you say. Well, you could give them ideas. You could say, well, what if there was a bunch of girls that were here with the chips and the nachos and the tortillas, and it was someone other than you?
Yeah, that's true.
Like I had a guy we did a podcast before, and we launched his podcast to 7 different platforms in 2 weeks. We put it on iTunes. You know, even gave him the topics to talk about. Then we took the podcast and we put it over on a video and we put it up on YouTube. And my suggestion to him was, don't have it just be you talking.
Yeah.
Like invite somebody on, call up, and it was like a political thing. And I said, well, why don't you call Tom Steyer? He's a billionaire, and tell him you want to interview him on a podcast to give him props and recognition and make it about Tom Steyer. And you just ask the questions. But because you're on there with Tom Steyer, you've now tapped into a billionaire's network of people that are searching for Tom Steyer. So like if he wanted to, where is he located?
He has 3 locations: Duarte, Pasadena, and Arcadia.
Yeah, so there might be, I don't know, there could be a sports team in Pasadena, right? Like it could be women's soccer, it could be something like that. Why don't you call up the women's soccer team and tell them you're going to give them free lunch? You want them to come down, you give them free lunch, do a video, do a promotion. They can do the video for the soccer team, and you can post it on there. Now you attract sports people. But he might get the same old customers that know him, and they're like, oh, what's his name? Efren? Yeah. So, there's Efren again.
Exactly.
Man, he's crazy.
No, I understand
I guess we'll go
But
there.
then it gets to the point also with dealing with these are the type of ideas I want to give, because it's almost like calling his baby ugly. You know, you tell him, it's okay, you're doing it.
No, you're just diversifying your portfolio. Instead of you doing all the talking, you have other people talk for you. And we could do a highlight video. I could give you some prices where we come down and we highlight his business. And I mean, hey, we're in LA. There's loads of talent that would love to be in a video or like free food and all sorts of stuff. We can do something creative for him if he's open to it.
Yeah.
But if he's like, hey, I just want to do my videos, I like my videos.
Yeah. But if you can actually, if we can show him that he's going to grow with this, and then we can show him, like you say, every month, that you're going to get more people doing it this way, then he's up to maybe trying it.
Yeah, and sometimes too, like, there's some insights into what kind of people do you want to attract.
Correct.
Right. So, my brother has an event company that I helped start for him. It's still running today on the East Coast, like outside of Philadelphia. And my brother, like, he had somebody put up his website, or he did it himself, or something like that. And my brother's name is Rod, and sometimes you can't even get through to your own brother, right? And you're like, hey, you need to. I'll just do the website. I'm tired of looking at it. Like, let me just do the website for you, right? So, and we highlighted like some of those big corporate clients that they had that, again, they weren't put in the right light. And now he's getting all these really big clients. So sometimes you got to ask yourself, like, what do you want to attract?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between just getting the local community and getting a call from 20th Century Fox that wants to shoot at your restaurant because they saw the energy on the video. And now they're going to give you, I don't know, $50,000 for the week. I mean, there's people in LA. We live in this opportunity, land here of LA, where, hey, there's people that rent out their restaurant for $10-20 a day for a film.
Yeah, I think
I saw one in Monrovia. They just rented out the pizza place. There was like a film there with Meryl Street.
I would say a good example would be when LeBron James excited to come to the Lakers. And because the Blaze Pizza, you have ownership, part
Oh yeah,
ownership
Blaze
in there.
Pizza.
And just the fact, I mean,
Yeah.
people are standing in line, just, for association, so that kind of ties
Yeah.
into his idea for your client.
Yeah.
Find like a local
Correct.
celebrity, right,
Yeah.
okay. And then it's not they're just gonna come that one time, because they're fans though,
That
because
guy.
they wanna now support that
Yeah, yeah.
individual,
I
yeah.
see, I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, like diversify your stock or broaden your network of people.
Yeah.
Like they say if you want something different, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
So I say, hey, why don't you just try something different for 90 days? If it doesn't work, no big
Yeah,
deal.
Exactly.
Try it. Try it. You might like it.
Yeah.
Because people don't like change. They'll try something, but they don't want to change.
Correct.
Like you go to Whole Foods or wherever, they give you samples. Oh, I'll try it. And then you try it and you're like, oh, I like this. I think I'll pick one up. But if they say, no, change, don't buy what you buy and buy this, then people are like, no, I'm okay. So they've done some psychology on that. Any other
We
questions?
sit back up, says visual examples.
Yeah, I'm going to show you guys some.
Yeah, those are things like, that we can actually show our clients when we present this to them. Visual examples of SEO cases.
Yeah, I'll pull some up just to show you guys. So if you can peek up here. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can. Like we have different technology. This is that one client I told you about. But when they started over here, these are the keywords. When they started here, their baseline, they were ranked at 115. And 115, just so you know, is it's like on the 12th page of Google, right? So when they started, they were on the 12th page of Google, and now they're number 9. It went up 106 positions, right?
In what length of time?
Uh,
6, 7 months?
Yeah, 6, 7
Generally,
months.
that's.
And this company, went down 138?
Yeah, so there's one that's called HGH dosage.
Yeah, Penguin, right?
No, there's some that are really high competitive, but these are the keywords. Like I said, exactly what I told you guys. Here's all their keywords. 9 out of 10 we took from nowhere to like position 1, position 2. If you can get 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 to be on the first page, that's a huge success. There's companies out there that do a guarantee on 20% of your keywords. They'll say, hey, I'll give you a guarantee that, if we can't get you ranked for 20% of your keywords in the first 6 months, we'll give you a free month, or we'll keep doing it until we get you ranked. And, but I mean, to get somebody ranked for 9 out of 10 keywords, like some of these, all these positions going up, and down here is Bing, because we took all their Bing stuff too and raised it. So now their traffic goes up. I mean, this guy was like, oh my God, like he hired 3 other SEO companies and like never even got a fraction of the result. And he's just like, wow, this is incredible. And then like someone like that, then, so I got him to that point, and some clients get, let's just say some clients don't fall into the gracious gratitude thing. They just want more and more. They're kind of like needy. And we'll say, hey, you should redo your website. You don't know anybody like that, or yeah.
They're going to say I'm like that.
Yeah. But no, but you got to be, you got to appreciate what people do, right?
Thank
And-
you. I love you.
Great job. Great job.
You got to appreciate what people do. It's funny. It's funny. I wrote something actually yesterday on Facebook where like when money and investments appreciate, you actually get more money. But if people applied appreciation to like a company or a business or a philosophy or their relationships, they would have a better relationship. So appreciation is part of the energetic realm of like when you take care of someone that's doing your marketing, they're gonna do more marketing for you. They're gonna feel the loyalty. Sometimes they might not even charge you for stuff that other people would charge you for because you're a long-term client. Like I had this one client the other day, they're not updating their site. Some people just don't want to spend the money. They don't have the budget. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, call me. They call me. They call me every couple months anyway. I'm like, hey, all right, I'll send you an invoice. And I usually don't charge people for all the hours, but you want them to appreciate you too. You don't want them to take advantage of you, right? So you can give people a lot of value, but this is an example of one client here. Let's see. Here's another client. They do vacation rentals. This client, they came to me, and it was they ran it with their wife, and they had another friend and his wife, and their partners in the company, and they said, hey, we want to do like some SEO business development. They didn't really kind of know what they needed. When they started again, they were not on the first or the second page or the third page or the fourth page. And within 90 days, they had to hire a director of operations. Their partner and their wife were overwhelmed because the phone was ringing so much and they weren't used to taking those calls. So we set up a call service for them that actually answered their phone and actually sent them the leads of asking all the right questions to qualified people. And they went from 6 properties to 24 properties in 2 years. And now they do a lot of the rentals for like Coachella and Stagecoach. And then I actually just secured like I had another contact of mine that does write-ups in magazines in LA. And she said, hey, if I can come and stay there, I'll do a whole editorial like on the company. And then I had a guy that does drones. He actually did the Pasadena Rose Bowl. He's a good friend of mine. He's got a whole company. I had him come out and do a whole aerial drone footage in like 4K. And I mean, you watch it, it's like a outer body experience when you watch it. And it's just like, it pops off the page. So we did all this for this client, and now they're ranked, they're number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 5. Some of these, they weren't even ranked. Now they're going after new keywords. But, you can really impact people, and then they hired a general manager. They bought, 16 more units out in Palm Desert, and they're just growing and growing and growing. And that's what SEO could do for it, and the right metrics and looking at the right information. We did call tracking for them too. And so that's another client. But your client would get a report, and they would get like, this is where you were before, this is where you are now. And then this is got a little bit more lipstick in it, but sometimes we might just give somebody an Excel spreadsheet and go month by month so they can see different months. There's a lot of different things we can change with this stuff too. So that's that's like one example there. So is it okay if we talk about pay-per-click now? Sure. Okay, cool. So pay-per-click, some people get addicted to pay-per-click, almost like they can generate instant traffic and they can get phone calls, and it's like instant gratification.
Right.
But when they run out of money, they don't get any more clicks. And And some people have a stigma around SEO that SEO doesn't work, and that's probably because they hired the wrong company, and that was their attitude. But SEO is a little bit more of a different game. I'm trying to think how you would explain it in terms of a philosophy. SEO is kind of like, let's say you buy some land in Malibu right on the water, and it takes, I don't know, a year to get a permit, building permits, and then you have to get the construction guy, and then, you know, but 2 years later you have this beautiful home. You bought the land for, you know, $300,000. Now the home's worth $10 million. And you own that land. You can rent it. You can rent it to Kobe Bryant. You can rent it to all these different people. Airbnb it. A lot of times people don't have that patience level to kind of wait. And some owners of companies can be like that. They don't want to wait. But what they don't realize is time is going to go by anyway, and they're costing themselves a lot more by not doing SEO, because eventually they're going to get fed up with Google. And what happens to the market is it actually gets more competitive as more people come on into the market and advertise, especially these big companies and all these other companies, where the cost of click will actually go up. So it's like rent, just like an apartment. Something that 10 years ago was $1,000 a month, today is $3,000 a month. But once you own that SEO space, like you're there 24/7. There's no like, maybe tomorrow you might be position 5 versus position 6, depending on how Google searches and if somebody else is adding a lot of content. But once you start getting ranked on SEO, it starts to build momentum, and you start getting ranked on other stuff if you actually do it the right way. But some people just don't want to wait. They'd rather pay like Google pay-per-click. So,
but our pay-per-click program is different than, say, pay-per-click regular program, right? Pay-per-click, you just said, you give a number, you give a credit card, you say, I want to spend $2,000 a month. Once it's gone, it's gone. Ours is going to be a certain amount, and it's going to be that amount, correct? It's not going to be...
Whether you do regular pay-per-click, this pay-per-click, or any other pay-per-click, there's still an amount and a budget. Even if you do pay-per-click on Facebook.
Yeah.
The budget could be $20 a day, it could be $200 a day, $20,000 a day. So it's the same pay-per-click. It's just different value of money. Now, we have more of a starter pay-per-click, which is not as complicated. And sometimes complications can cost you more money if you don't understand it, right? If you keep it simple and you're just paying for a keyword, with the simple pay-per-click that we have, we can do search ads. We can do call-to-click ads, like where it actually they can call a number and we'll track the calls. We can do image ads and logo ads, where you could actually build the brand within the ad. And so you can do all these different ads. If somebody is more, like, in my opinion, to be in regular AdWords, I don't know if it's worth it unless you want to spend like at least $2 or $3 grand a month to be in the regular AdWords, because then you have, and I'm going to show you a regular AdWords so you can get the gist, because probably after 5 minutes you'll be overwhelmed. You'll be like, oh, I don't want to see anymore. But it can get really complicated, and that's why there's technology out there that we've used before to actually manage Google AdWords, is so that we can try to squeeze the lemon and get more prediction out of it and stuff like that. I'll tell you guys my story of Google AdWords that I used to always tell people. So initially what happens is people get on Google AdWords, and it's like going to the casino in Las Vegas. They pull the lever and the phone rings, and they get like 5, 10, 15 calls. And they're like, wow, this is great. I should turn it up. So they turn it up some more, and they get some more calls. Then like another month goes by. It's like maybe month 2 or month 3. They haven't done anything with Google AdWords, but now they've turned up their budget. And then in month 3 or 4, they're like, I'm not getting as much calls, but I'm spending more money. I just got another bill on my credit card. What's this? Another grand? You get an email from Google saying they just charged your card for $1,000. You're like, I'm not getting as many calls. And what happens is, instead of people looking at themselves in the mirror, because we live in a society where people blame other people, or they'll be like, oh, it's too competitive out there now, and maybe Google AdWords is not working. So what they do is they go and they pause the ads for a while, because they feel like now they're spending too much money. And then sometimes people just say it's not working anymore. Maybe I should do something else. It worked in the beginning, but now it must be too competitive, or the clicks are too much. And they start to have all these feelings and emotions around like their Google ads. And what Google doesn't tell you, they're really good at getting you started, right? Putting in your credit card, we'll give you a $150 coupon, blah, 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 blah. They want to get you going. What they don't tell you about is all the other stuff like quality scores and search terms and phrase matches and what is a quality score, right? So there's all these different things that now if you're not paying attention, your ad's going to get served less and you're still going to be paying money, but you're not going to be coming up like on the top. So a lot of people just get frustrated with pay-per-click. And I'm going to show you, like, I'll show you a back end of the pay-per-click where we can actually go through the account, and I'll show you, like, this is what happens, and this is why people get confused. With the pay-per-click, you know, we set it up on Google AdWords. There is other pay-per-click out there, just so you guys know. There's Bing, there's Facebook, there's Google. Some people want to do it all. If they want to do it all, I wouldn't put them in the Business Boost program. The resources aren't going to go as far, and I'm going to go over some questions with you at the end for you guys as salespeople, so you can find out kind of where to put people, and get more information than what they're telling you, because a lot of times people don't tell you everything. They just tell you what they want you to hear, not really all the facts. So you have to look for the clues. My father that raised me, he was a private investigator, and he would always, you know, go out with his badge and investigate. And I thought about this. I was like, you know, sometimes doing sales or talking to owners of companies is about you investigating them, not them investigating you, and really listening to like where they're coming from, what they're committed to, and like what they want to create. And then you have to align with that. But a lot of times they're not going to tell you what their budget is, because nobody, you know.
Yeah. No, they won't say that at all.
You go down to 7-Eleven, and someone told me this story, it made a lot of sense. Go down to 7-Eleven, someone goes, hey, can I have $1? And the homeless guy outside, and you're like, no, I don't. I only have 50 cents. But really, in your wallet, you're not going to like go to the homeless person. Well, honestly, I have $65. I don't know why you asked me for $1. I could give you a 10, right? You wouldn't do that, right? And an owner of a company is not going to do that either. You know what I mean? So it's like you're not going to give people all your cards until you kind of know what's going on and what you're going to get. So with Google, you know, we can do text ads for Google. There's text ads where it's just like the text, and then there's images. We can use a couple of their images. A lot of times we might use like a really high resolution picture, you know, something that'll fit within the ad that will promote their business. Maybe it's a lady eating pizza, you know, maybe it's like special thing and 10% coupon or something like that, or free delivery. Or we try to put some stuff in there. Like first line is to like probably grab their attention, deliver some value, and then have some kind of call to action like call us now or free delivery or something like that. So even just writing the ad, like you have to kind of think about it. You know, just like throw a bunch of words in there. And sometimes we find that one ad might work better than some other ad. So it comes down to like split testing it. And we're not going to split test it every day, 10 hours a day for 30 days, you know, for a couple $100. But we'll look at it because we want them to get results, right? And you have to gather data in Google AdWords before you make a decision. It's kind of like if I go down to the Rose Bowl and let's say I want to gather market research and I ask you, you know, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite food?
Pasta.
Pasta, okay. And then I go back to Martin and I go, Martin, I did the market research. Pasta is what people at the Rose Bowl like, right? And he's like, how many people did you talk to?
One.
I talked to one. And he's like, how many people were at the Rose Bowl? 27,000. Well, how do we get any data from asking one person? So if you do a bunch of data on this big world called Google with $10, we don't get a whole lot of data to make a lot of educated decisions. So a lot of times when people start on a pay-per-click or something like that, we want to gather some data and we want to look at it over a period of time, as opposed to just talking to one person and going, yeah, let's just open a pasta restaurant because that's what one person likes.
Pasta.
Right. Exactly. So competitive analysis, we can look at your competitors. We can look at the keywords that your competitors are ranked for to determine what we want to advertise for to show up next to your competitors. So they might be ranked organically, but now we look at what keywords they're on. It helps us save some time and error and experimentation. And we go, hey, why don't we advertise on these keywords? We found that those 2-3 sites that you told us about, they're ranked for those keywords. I think these keywords would be a good choice. We also have software we can pull another competitor's ad history on Google. We can actually see the ad copy that they're using and the keywords that they've been advertising for over the period of the last year or 2 years. So you know if they're paying $10 a click on something for 2 years, it might be a good keyword, you know, to advertise on. So we can gather information like that too, as opposed to just like guessing. Because most people that have their own company, they just guess.
Yeah.
They go, oh, it's pizza.
Yeah, well, yeah, the one guy I know, he's always, I'm always in the top, I'm always in the top, you know. So.
Right.
I don't remember seeing a logo or a picture. You mean like on when paid ads? In the top
Yeah, they're display ads. And a lot of times they'll come up as images, like on a mobile phone.
Okay.
Or they might come up on a, like for example, like some people do contextual ads. So you might go to like perhaps like a,
Oh, I see on the website and you see the
yeah,
big-
like Entrepreneur
big
Magazine.
takeover.
Yeah. So you gotta, like you can actually put in domains to advertise on. So you could target like Entrepreneur Magazine, People Magazine, Fox News, and you can go after certain sites on display ads as well. So that's a more complex, you know, like there's some clients like Hornblower Cruise Line, we did an audit for them one time. I think they spend something like, I think it was something like $74,000 a month just in pay-per-click. There's another company down in Orange County, a big jewelry company. I think they're doing $168,000 a month in pay-per-click. Right, so we start, you know, you start seeing some of these accounts, and you know, what we used to do with our clients is get into the account first before we even start pitching them on any kind of services, because the account will give you all the facts. You can do a history. I had this one client, and I'll show you this. I ran what they spent in the last 10 years on their pay-per-click, and it was something like $1.2 million. You better believe that conversation is going to be much different than some guy telling me, you know, he's got $300 a month to spend.
Yeah.
But the guy that says he's only got $300 a month to spend is the same guy that could be spending the 1.2 over 10 years if you don't investigate. So a lot of times getting into these pay-per-click accounts would be very beneficial, because we would say, hey, you're wasting half of it. Let's just move it over to SEO, right? And at least you'd own something for it. You don't get anything. I mean, you got the traffic before, but you're not getting the traffic tomorrow for that. If they had invested that in SEO and building microsites and doing all sorts of stuff, you could do a lot with $1.2 million on advertising, right? So A/B testing, competitor analysis, ad copy, and then reports. You know, we want to show them tracking. We want to show them phone calls. We want to show them results.
Yeah.
You know, so that they see the value in, you know, continuing with the service.
So Hugh, in actual AdWords, what amount of the $7.99 or whatever it is will be applied? I think you mentioned it earlier. Like
Yeah, I did. I
or
think
is it,
it's going to be.
is that going to be enough to really make
Yeah.
you know, a dent or
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like if someone does all this stuff on their own, a lot of times, like, and this might be hard to believe, they're wasting somewhere between 70 to 80% of what they're spending on ineffective ads. They don't have any conversion tracking. They're not doing any call tracking. They're not doing any of this stuff.
Well, the amount we do use is maximized,
Right.
because of the expertise.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. And the reason why I'm doing that is to get people started, to get them some success, short term, and then hopefully, you know, we can put them into a larger account where they see the value of spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, because it gets a little bit more extensive when you get into that, because you have retargeting, which is where, let's say I visit your website and you sell, you know, organic chocolate or something like that. and now I go to, let's say your site's called, I don't know, Delightly Chocolate or something like that. And now I go over to Nordstrom,
Voila.
and Nordstrom has chocolate too.
Follow them.
I didn't know they were selling chocolate these days, right?
Yeah.
So the ad comes up. And then he's got retargeting, so while I'm over now on Nordstrom's site, I had seen an ad pop up for Delightly Chocolate. If you order now, 10% off. Special for today pops up as a retargeting because it's got my cookies and it's basically built an audience off of my traffic. And I'll continue to pop up, and there's different types of retargeting ads. Some will pop up until the person clicks it. Some will just keep popping up, and some will just pop up within the search session, within like the next hour, but it won't come up later on. Or have you ever been in your email and you send something to Jesse and you're like, Jesse, I got to get my car repaired. I got to get a rental car.
All of a sudden.
Next thing you know, an ad pops up, rental car, Avis. Wow, must be synchronicity, right?
People are smart now with ad blockers, right? And that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Thwart that sort of tracking. I
Yeah.
know I am.
But you can do a lot of stuff with ads. Some people are like, "Oh, I hate those," but if that was my ad, I'd love it.
Yeah.
Because eventually they got to give in.
So again, this is just a starter.
Yeah, starter package.
Yeah. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
and we can do the much deeper ones too that are more extensive. And one of the things that I'll tie in here is like when you do SEO and pay-per-click, SEO will actually help lower your pay-per-click costs. Like if you're ranked and you're also running ads, they actually influence each other. Because now you're on the page twice, not once. So your ad might be up there, they scroll down, they see your organic ad,
And they click on organic.
and they click on the organic ad. Or the ad that you're paying for, because you're already ranked on that page, Google gives you almost like a discount for the fact that you're already relative on that page anyway. So you're instead of paying like $2 a click, maybe you're paying $1.50. So they influence each other in a positive way. A lot of times with SEO, one of the biggest positive attributes is trust. The fact that you've been around long enough to be ranked on Google is a big add value compared to an ad. Like if I was going to go buy like a $300,000 item, I probably wouldn't buy it off of the pay-per-click ad because it could be some guy that just went into business yesterday. He doesn't have to rank. He can just turn on his ad.
Right.
I would go to the organic thing and I'd say, well, this guy's ranked number 1. He's been around for a while. He's got good reviews. His social media is up to speed. He looks like he cares about people. Like people are looking at marketing these days like a whole energetic exchange. It's not just, oh, it's there. Let's call, let's buy, let's give them money. They look at, especially a lot of shoppers. I mean, I know my wife, before she buys something, she'll freaking search 20 different sites and shop, 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 shop. Read reviews, read reviews, read reviews. Some of the reviews she laughs at because they're funny. But it's like, this is how people buy these days. There's all these sites out there like Wish and Amazon, and there's so many different things out there that people can get stuff from. They have to pay attention now when they buy. So before someone hooks up solar, they're going to look at your reviews. They want to know that they're not going to get the solar hooked up and then tomorrow it doesn't work and they call you and you don't even show up because you're not even local or you don't even have a website, right? So people are really looking much more intently at your whole thing. So,
Which is what SEO reflects.
right. So SEO, what I'm trying to say is everything kind of influences each other. Like some people can't put a value on social media and they go, I don't know that it makes money for me. But if you don't have it, it loses you money. But there's no guy that's going to send you a letter going, hey, Jesse, I just want to let you know that in the last 5 years, you've lost $2.7 million. And here's all the, here's all the places you lost it. And that's kind of why you have to kind of maximize what you do when it comes to marketing. Is because they only see what they know until they see something else. So, let's see. Cool. So, do you guys want to take a short break, and then I'll load up a pay-per-click account, and then I'll show you guys. I'm going to show you guys like a simple one, and I'll show you guys the more complex one.
Cool.
Yeah. happened?
Just our competition.
Oh, shots fired. See certain 3-year-old Hispanic man inside the car. From Buckwood Villa, he had been shot to death. Wow. Little known at this time, not the man or the murder.
What is that?
No, but we have the yellow ribbon, the yellow tape.
Stock.
Okay, let's go.
Cool. So
This is gonna be,
pay-per-click.
oh, we're still on pay-per-click?
As we stopped, and I'm going to show you
Alright,
some
that's fine,
examples.
that's fine. Alright.
Yeah. So there's just like SEO. There's a lot of factors. There's also a lot of factors with pay-per-click. So a lot of people have the misconception that when they start pay-per-click, they can just put their credit card in and just drive traffic to their website. So there's a bunch of different elements when it comes to.
That's exactly what some guys said at a meeting I was at, they talked about that.
Sure. So here's AdWords. And then you put the money in AdWords. And then what you have to do is you still have to come up with keywords. You have to write the ad copy.
There's a person that's gonna do this. He's doing it on his own. So except if I was doing it on my own, I have to do all that.
Yeah, you have to do all that. Yeah, you got to write the ad copy. And each one of these has an element. Now, besides the ad copy, Google also looks at your landing page that you're sending people to. The landing page is the page they land on. But a big misconception for a lot of people is, well, what if I just send people to my homepage of my website?
Yeah.
But that's not optimized to get the most conversions because you're just sending them to a bunch of things that got a bunch of options. So now they kind of get lost in your site. You spend this really good money that drives somebody on a specific keyword or this specific ad copy to a page that's kind of general and has 50 different options. So now people get here and they're like, well, what do I do? Because in this world, like, people need to be told what to do, right? They say, okay, I put in order pizza. And then now I got to have something, within the ad copy, like something that's going to create like a call to action. Maybe it's free delivery. Maybe it's delivers local, whatever it may be. And then they get over here, and let's just say that now they get to a restaurant. And there's nothing with pizza, but there's like a menu.
Yeah.
There's a picture of spaghetti,
Yeah.
right? There's all this stuff, and they're like, well, I think I just want to get a pizza place, right? So this whole message going through has to be consistent for someone to be consistently taking action. So
What should match? The landing page should match.
the ad
The
or the
keyword.
keyword,
Like an order.
yeah. Because right here, what happens is there's something that's called a quality score. And a quality score has to do with a lot of different components. It has to do with the click-through rate. It has to do with like the keyword, the ad history. It has to do with the content that's on the page. And I think there's like one other factor too. But there's like 5 or 6 factors around this quality score. So if this quality score, let's just say it goes 1 through 10 for the quality score. And let's say the quality score is a 1. Typically, this ad will show like 60% less than somebody that has a quality score of like an 8 through a 10. Which means your ad isn't going to be served as often because it's not relative for Google. It's kind of like you go to Google and you search for, I want to buy a swimming wetsuit. And now up comes like a rubber ducky that's yellow. Like Google doesn't want that to happen because nobody's going to use Google because they won't get what they're looking for, right? So it's relativity. And so now if your quality score is low, they're also going to penalize you too. Instead of paying, let's say this person is paying $1 a click, this one over here is paying $2.50 a click. Why? Because your quality score was low and you weren't It wasn't relative. It wasn't as relative as this person's ad, and they gave them a discount, and they served their ad more frequently because it's relative. So just turning on AdWords isn't the end all be all. There's a bunch of other stuff along the way. And then when you get to the landing page, a good landing page should have some kind of call to action and should direct somebody to do something. It wouldn't have a bunch of menus at top. It might say, you know, pizza, free delivery. You could have an order now. There could be a live chat down here, you know, order people standing by, and you could order. Now, pizza might not be as rudimentary as let's say we're going to get an auto loan, right, or insurance or something like that. The cost per click probably is going to be more, even plastic surgery, and they're going to make sure that they try to get a lead somehow. There might even be a pop-up where it's like, click here to call. You know, there's all these things that are telling you, take action, take action, take action. Or talk to our representative for free. Someone standing by, a live chat pops up. Right? Because they're paying like high dollar money to get that traffic. They don't want it to leave the site. Because once it leaves the site, like that person's not coming back. And now they just wasted the money that they spent in advertising. So landing page, a lot of times with a landing page, it won't have all the menus up here. It basically drives them to put in their information. You guys have all done it before. And you hit submit, and then it takes you to another page. Now they've captured the lead, or the call, or whatever it may be, and it converts it. That's a conversion. Or a conversion could just be, it could be a form fill. And all these conversions, if they're set up properly, could track back into AdWords, but most people don't set up the conversions. They just do the ads, they don't look at the conversions. So now, if you have keyword, I don't know, let's just say you have, I don't know, like wetsuit, flippers, goggles, and bike. Now you don't know which one is converting off of your ads because you don't have conversions, you just have clicks. And clicks do not mean that it's a conversion. It just means someone spent your money.
Yeah.
So, and then there's something called a click-through rate right here, which just means the higher the click-through rate, that means that when your ad is served, people are clicking through. And if you have a higher click-through rate, those ads are served more often because they're relevant to Google, and therefore you have a higher quality score. And if you have a higher click-through rate, now to go and optimize the ads, if this one has a 0 click-through rate, you probably go in and pause this because if you have a bad keyword in there in your ads and it's not doing anything on the click-through rate, it's probably better to pause it to have all the energy go to the ones that actually have click-through rates. Otherwise, you're de-optimizing your account. This is kind of like a regular AdWords account. So you can see how it can get a little complicated, right? Because you could have great, money going in. You could have great keywords. You could have great ad copy. But if they get to your site and your site,
okay, so my question is, you're saying,
it's
like,
not
say
good.
For example, because the guy actually does this, okay, say it goes to his landing page, it does go to his menu.
Yeah.
And that's something you're saying that's not a good thing because there's just too much information. So basically what you're saying is that the landing page should be just very basic and trying to get them to click on something like a form fill or something, because sometimes when you go to that, it's like a special. It's a special for
and is he
pizza.
capturing email addresses?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it might work for him. He might find, like, a lot of times when people go to a restaurant, they do look for the menu.
Yeah.
But now if you get the menu and there's a pop-up that says, fill out your information, get a $10 coupon, now he's opted them into his email marketing.
Correct.
And he can drip on them specials of the week every day, every week.
And that's considered a conversion, correct?
Yeah, that's okay.
And not only
So,
that,
conversion
it
could be a phone
depends
call,
on what
too.
the person wants to achieve. If
Yeah.
he was really just trying to get to build his email,
Correct.
It's just that word.
Yeah.
Depending on if he was trying to get somebody to come in and buy something, it didn't work.
Correct.
So it really depends on what
the
does
goal.
he want.
Yeah.
What's it called?
So does Google kind of look the other way with first-time AdWords users? You know, they give you that $150 credit. Do they turn a blind eye to all the landing page and quality score and
No.
click-through rate
No,
just to get that business, you
No.
know, sort of involved and
no.
no?
No.
So
I mean, it
same
might run,
process.
but then it will be paused.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if it's a blind eye, but eventually what it does is it crawls it and then it starts to give you scores.
Right.
And then once your scores kind of go down, that's when people find that they're not getting as much performance like on their AdWords. And then you might find that like, hey, why am I spending all this money on Google? Maybe Facebook works better for me because I can target people in a specific location that like a specific thing within a 10-mile radius,
Yeah.
that like, that are a Democrat, that watch football on Sunday. I mean, it's like really specific
So,
on
okay,
Facebook.
so pay-per-click, you can't target. It's
You can target keywords and you can track it, and there's different audience and demographics in there. I'm going to show you guys an
Okay.
account. So you can target all that, and it also suggests searches
Okay.
depending on what you're going after. It might say, well, these have come up and these are good suggestions. It'll send you an email because they want you to spend more money, and they'll be like, oh, you could get 10 more clicks if you add this. It might cost you more money, but you'll get 10 more clicks. So, you know, a lot of this still comes down to like kind of inspecting it and tracking it and figuring out like what's going to work for you. If you're generating phone calls and it's working, great. But if you can track all your phone calls back to goggles, then maybe you should just build out a microsite on goggles and do a landing page on goggles and do more ads on goggles and pause some of your other ads if you know that that one's converting. Or maybe that page has a specific setup and you're like, you know, maybe it's because the page has a video on the top for goggles, and on flippers there's no video. And the one with goggles is working. Let's put a video on the top of the flippers page. So there's little things that you look at and test when you're doing this stuff when it comes to like pay-per-click. And you would ask like, you know, when should somebody advertise with pay-per-click? You know, if they want to give it a try, it's just important to put these things in place to measure it, either phone calls or tracking, or look and see like, you know, is it going to work for them? And sometimes in some businesses you just need one client for it to be worth it. You know what I mean? So somebody might say to themselves, well, you know, I'll spend $2,000 a month if that customer is going to generate $20,000 worth of profit. I'll swing this for 6 months. If I get one client over 6 months, it completely paid for itself.
Mouse here column. Yeah. One client is $80,000.
Right.
And they probably spend quite a bit on like pay-per-click and all of that stuff. They have vocational school.
Yeah.
Yeah, those schools are. Yeah, they spend.
I had a bunch of salespeople in this company that I built, and I would teach people to go into the pay-per-click account. And they had a boys' school, like on the East Coast or something like that. It was like some kind of school or camp or something like that. And I remember going into the account, and I remember this because none of the salespeople wanted to do the appointment. They were like, the guy only spends $39, right? And the guy said, I only spent $39 in my AdWords, right? But it comes down to asking the right questions. So I start kind of digging, and I'm like, okay, so you spent $39. And a lot of times I do it as like a joke to myself to just follow the process. And then when I go through the process, it always kind of works out really good for me, right? So I go through the process, and I asked the guy, I'm like, so what are you promoting? Tell me a little bit about your school. And he goes, well, my school is for boys, and you know, I don't know if they're in Massachusetts or one of those New England states. And I said, so how much does the school cost? And he's like, well, the school costs like $5,300 for the year. And I'm like, well, how many spots do you have open? And he goes about, I think he said it was like 800. And I was like, 800 times 50. I did some math, and I'm like, wow. So if you filled up your school, like, let me ask you a question. Why why are you spending $39 a month? And like, I went into the $39 a month account and I actually found all the waste, and I found that he wasn't doing tracking. He wasn't looking at his quality scores. He wasn't looking at all this, but I basically built it out for him. And I said, listen, even if you got like 10 more students a month, you know, it would pay for itself. And he ended up signing up for, I think it was like $2,500 a month was the service that he was going to do, or $3,500 a month. And all the salespeople were like in shock that I got a deal. And it wasn't about me prejudging him. It was about me asking the right questions. It got him in the right frame of mind. And it happened also too with another pay-per-click person where I said, how much is a new customer worth to them? And the guy said, well, people that buy this, it was like some kind of industrial machinery or something. And he's like, one of these units is like $148,000. And they were spending a certain amount of money on pay-per-click, and there was no tracking, no nothing. And they signed up over the phone. I think the deal was like $6,000. They gave their credit card over the phone. But it was like that one customer, if they got one customer, you know, they make $148,000 on that one customer. So it's about asking the right questions and then really kind of getting somebody into the state that, like, if it was done the right way and we had even just a little bit more insight than you doing it on your own, that it would be well worth it. Because we want to win people over for the long-term relationship. We don't make money if we sign somebody up for a month. This is not like, let's see if you can get the most bang for your buck and throw the dice up against the wall. No, just keep your dice. Like, we don't need the aggravation of getting you set up and optimized and doing this back and forth, because in the first 1 or 2 months, most marketing companies don't make a whole lot of money because there's a lot more work in the first 1 or 2 months. We have to get to know them. We have to look at their content. We have to look at the ads, what works, what doesn't work, gather data. And that's not like a right away thing, right? So that's some stuff to think about for you guys as salespeople, like dealing with the customer is like asking the right questions. Where do they want to be? Not what does it cost. What does it cost is such a minuscule question in the whole scheme of things. So that's the pay-per-click kind of abyss. I'm going to show you guys. I'll show you guys an account.
This is a good time. If anybody can run in and grab something to eat, bring it back.
Yeah, sure.
Work yourself.
Yeah, go ahead.
While you're doing that. Yeah. Are we doing that? Rod? Obit? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Right? He's on the computer. You guys.
Yeah.
Please, come in.
Maybe we should
We're
just
gonna
call
get
it a break
behind
and
you.
come in.
Come on. We're going
I'm going to pause it for a moment then.
Yeah, put it on pause. Yeah. Different ads that you can do in pay-per-click on Facebook. You know, we can increase likes, we can increase
The
engagement.
ads are on this side, right? Or it could be
Well, there's different, again, this is like,
They would buy it.
this is the display ads. Right in here is the news feed. And then you can all do other stuff on Instagram.
So when I have people like say, president saying they want you to like this one business, is that an ad? Is that a paid ad?
Yeah, that's an ad too. There's paid ads like these, like subscribe or submit.
Oh.
So there's many different ads. We can do a lead generation ad where if you hit submit, it extracts all your data out of your, let's say you come to my ad, it pulls all your data out of your Facebook. I get your phone number, your email, your name. You don't even have to type it. You can be just lazy and hit submit, and it sends it to me. I can integrate that into my MailChimp or my Constant Contact, and I can have my MailChimp or Constant Contact immediately send you a coupon without me touching anything on autopilot. People don't know how to do that because there's a bunch of criteria. Like, for example, in order to do one of those lead generation ads, you need to have a privacy policy on your website and certain criteria on your website for Facebook to even run that ad for you. You have to give them all the links for that.
Oh, wow.
That's called a lead generation ad. That's a little gold treasure that I got. I had this one guy. He started a nonprofit, and his whole thing was to overthrow.
You must not be working.
Yeah.
That's great.
I had this one client, and he was just he wanted to impeach a governmental official, and so he was starting a nonprofit, and he decided that he wants to raise money. people to donate to this nonprofit. So what we did was we created a webinar and Webinar Jam. He came up with the whole webinar. We scheduled the webinar, and then we had to run ads on Facebook for that webinar. So we had to add like a privacy policy to his website, all these different things. But we ran this ad, and in a week we got, I think, 478 leads, and we did that on a lead generation ad. And I was shocked. I like double checked it like 10 times because the lead generation is like a really good concept because people don't have to type anything in there. Because initially I was like, are these just bogus, like people filling out whatever? And they were all real, and they'd all showed up on the webinar, and they all got integrated into MailChimp. And then they came back and they would watch the replay of the webinar, and then they'd reach out to them.
But this right here, like you're saying, the lead generation app, is that something that we're going to offer? Is that not?
Yeah, that could be part of this within the pay-per-click. Yeah, okay, sure. But some people, a lot of people that know Facebook ads, they put on a picture, they throw up some content, they hit start. There's no conversion tracking. They're not getting a lead. They're just getting people that see their Facebook.
Well, they're hoping that what people do to me, like they send me things saying, like this, like one of the clients I want to pitch is called Baja Cali Tacos.
Right.
And I got them, and I like them, now I get their, anytime they have a live Facebook thing, they put it on everything. And
Right.
they also ask me to send it and have it to your friends to like, because they're hoping that my friends and their friends, and that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
So what is we can offer them that's different? Just like you say.
Well, we
there's
could do
no-
an ad for likes or engagement.
Okay.
So if they have a post and they want to build engagement, we could do a boosted post. And then we could do ads on their specific business. It's going to work very similar to like the Google Boost,
Okay.
where we're going to have metrics and they're going
That's
to get.
what we can offer them as the metrics, something that they don't maybe, like you say, they don't
Yeah.
have time to do it, they don't know how to do it, or don't care. All they're seeing right now is that they have now from, 400 friends, now they have 10,000 friends
Right.
because of what they've been doing.
Right.
But they don't actually don't know,
What to do with them?
How that, yeah.
yeah. how to-
Like I had a girl one time. She called me. She was like, "Oh, I have this many Instagram followers. It
Yeah.
was something like 17,000." And she was like, "Well, how come you guys don't have like whatever 17 million or whatever?" And I said, "Well, let me ask you a question before you go any further." I'm like, "How much money have you made on the 17,000 people that are following on Instagram?"
Yeah.
And there's like this long silence, and she's like, "I haven't made any money." And I was like, "So what's the point?"
Yeah.
like people get caught up in the busyness of social media,
Yeah.
of like liking this and liking that. But if the phone doesn't ring and it's not a customer, I mean, likes are great, but a like doesn't make me buy.
Yeah, exactly.
If I want to buy, I buy, but I need like an offer, a call to action, something like that. I think everyone's so caught up in this, oh, I got to get my likes higher. I mean, you can buy likes. We can push people there and like it, but I don't know that it's going to increase their revenue at the end of the month. We could run a contest on their Facebook and saying the person with the most creative costume for Halloween gets a pizza party for 15 people. Post your image. Now that's engagement.
Yeah.
Because now they're getting you and you and you and you to post your Halloween picture to get free pizza for a month or something.
Yeah.
And now that within itself would create like a viral situation. I've had people do that before with like contests, where they do contests on Facebook, or they do a sweepstakes or a drawing, or like, hey,
This guy does that. He does live, he sends.
we're gonna give away a 46-inch screen TV
Oh, we
for
do
the
that.
best
Yeah.
Valentine's Day picture.
Yeah.
And that's how stuff goes viral, and that's how you get
Yeah.
a lot of traction. But half of this stuff means nothing. It's just like, oh, I got all these likes.
Yeah.
Like, what you want is a conversion, because
Yes.
we had run ads for a bunch of different clients, and a lot of it we were doing so they could get click-through rate. It would drive traffic to their website. Like this one client that we have, they were trying to get this one page to go up in the search engine. So we ran Facebook ads to that specific page with that specific content off of their Facebook, and we did $200-300 a month, and that page went up in the rankings because now it started getting impressions, because people on Facebook were going to the site and clicking through because they saw this ad in this video, and that boosted their SEO, and that was totally worth it. It was totally worth the $300, but it just really depends on the client's goals
Yes.
and like what they want. So here's different objectives that you can do for marketing on Facebook. You can boost your posts. You can promote your page. You can reach people near your business. So you can set it for like a 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius. You can set it for specific geo-targeted areas, people that speak English, people that speak Spanish, increase brand awareness. You can increase your reach, which just means that when people go to your Facebook, you have a bigger reach. Like, you know, I might do an interview for somebody, and in a week I have 3,000-4,000 people that have already watched it. That's my reach. Like, they've watched it, they've glanced at it. It'll even tell you how many minutes have been watched, if it's like a video or a live stream. We can do live streams. We can do all that stuff. Like, if people want to do a live stream at their restaurant, we can inform them on that stuff, like how to do it and how it's going to help their marketing.
So those people that I told you about, they do that. They do a live stream with like a contest.
Yeah.
So what is it that?
I mean, the only thing we would probably tell them if they're going to sign up for an SEO service is to optimize it with keywords and hashtags.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because a lot of them just do it.
Yeah.
They don't know how to optimize it. So, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go to Facebook or you go to Instagram, it works just like Google. You type in a keyword, up comes results. So if you go to Facebook and you type in pizza Pasadena, up comes results, just like Google. They don't have to know the name of the business.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So if you know how to optimize it properly, you can come up, you know, in Facebook.
So search is search.
You can get installs of your app for the. You can also send people to a destination on or off Facebook.
Okay,
You can even promote an event if you guys have an event.
So we can actually do, say, the person that, you know what, they have an app, a restaurant app, saying we can actually get it so that we can have people, you know, get on from Facebook, they can click onto your app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Collect leads for your business, which is what I call the lead generation. Get video views, so we can promote the video as opposed to a website, right? And that could be a video that lives on Facebook, or it could be a video that's YouTube. From YouTube. Increase conversion on your website, increase engagement to your app, get people to claim your offer, promote a product or catalog, get people to visit your shops. There's also promoting events too. So if you have a webinar, or you have a local concert, or like you're doing a meeting or a business networking seminar, you can actually post an event on Facebook and you can boost the event. Have it in the events calendar on Facebook, but then also do ads off of the event and boost the event. And there's even more intricacies. For example, if here, let me show this. Let's say we start a new business and we're gonna do, I don't know, like a puppy motel in Pasadena, right? And we have a new company, and a year goes by, and we have all these people visit our Facebook page. We have these pictures of puppies and the hotel and all this stuff, and now we have an audience, right? On Facebook, you can actually create a like audience, and you can advertise to a similar audience to the ones that are your audience right now. Almost like AI, it creates a like audience, and it will advertise to those people. You can do that off of a pixel too, off your website. So if you have a website and you install the Facebook pixel, it'll look at the audience of the traffic that comes to your website, and it will find those people similar on Facebook. So there's a lot of little different things that you can do like that. But it just gets kind of deeper and deeper, you know?
So basically what you're saying is any Facebook marketing advertising option out there, you can provide it for our clients.
Yes. We just can't do it all for $5.
Right.
Right.
It just depends, like,
Right.
you know, within.
But you have that capability.
Yeah. And that's why I'm going to talk about services right now. That's kind of like perfect opportunity. So,
Hey, good segue.
Kind of works like that all the time. But web design. We can create websites from start to finish, all levels. E-commerce sites, WordPress sites, simple sites. WordPress is a site. There's a lot of cheap options out there, and the cheap option is like Wix or something like that. I had some lady come to me last week who does elderly mediation, kind of like rivals rivalries between like siblings and parents and like family arguments, instead of going to an attorney, they go to her for mediation.
Oh.
She was on a WordPress site. She went to Wix because she thought it'd be easier to kind of do a new site that way and cheaper. All of her rankings dropped, so now she has no business. So now she has to go back to WordPress. I had another client too. One of my clients in San Francisco that moved to Colorado. They were new in a location. They wanted to rank right outside of Aspen, a little town called Carbondale. And so she had no website. She wanted to launch a new website, no traffic, no history. Within like 3 to 6 months, she was ranked on the first page. We put up a Google My Business for her. We put up her website. She was on Wix. We got her off Wix. We created she was on Wix with some other site, but she created a new brand. Because not only did she want to do naturopathic medicine, she wanted to do like B12 events, you know, where you get like shot of B12 and like IV therapy and stuff like that. She didn't want to deal with as many clients. She wanted to do more seminars. And she wrote a book too. So, you know, we can start somebody where they have a brand new website and even get them ranked like pretty quickly at a local level. Because now we're creating the site, we know how to structure it for like SEO too. And that's one thing when you do web design, like there's a lot of designers where the site looks good,
But it's not optimal.
but then like they don't have a marketing brain. So now you gotta get a marketing guy to get together with a web design person. It's good to have those two things integrated. Otherwise, you could have a nice website, nobody will find you. Reputation management. So we had a client that was doing like $900 million a year in business consulting. And they were making, I think they were making like, it was some crazy number, like almost 1 million calls a month. They had a call center. And they were booking a lot of small to medium-sized businesses, like $5 to $20 million for consulting. And then their average ticket price was around $300-400K for consulting, where they went in and they installed dashboards and all the systemization. A lot of family-owned businesses and a lot of things like factories and machinists and people that have contracting companies, and they would come in and install the dashboards. They did so much business, like people that they dealt with, they didn't believe that they looked for them on Google, because no business owner gets up that's doing 10 million a year and goes, oh, I'm stupid, I'm not making 50, because they just don't know. It's kind of like me having a conversation with you guys about marketing. You come in and you kind of open up the business. So they would come in and do this evaluation for 3 days. They would charge $2,000, go through the business, look at all the stats, give them a plan, and go, hey, this is what we're going to implement. It's going to be $300K, and this is how much you're going to pay me, blah, 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 blah. And they created some amazing stories. But there were some people that had companies that were like mom and pop companies that just didn't want to change, where they paid the $2,000, and then like they didn't want to go through with paying the $300K. And so they got a bad reputation because they never put up any new content on Google. So they were doing a tremendous amount of business at $900 million, but they were probably losing off of Google. They were probably losing like $10 million a month. They were paying rip-off report like $15K a month or $10K a month just to have like a premier listing, because rip-off report had threatened them that if they didn't pay them, they were going to let all these bad stuff.
That's what Yelp did, and then Yelp got sued for that, right? Because that was like they were saying that there was these reviews.
Probably,
saying,
but this guy from Rip-Off Report, he's almost like on witness protection, like you don't know where he lives, and people are after him. But I'm just telling you the story. So they came to us and they said, can you suppress complaints board, Rip-Off Report, all this stuff? And they hadn't been doing anything on the internet. So we said, yes, we can. They were paying us like $15,000 a month. And but we were creating like 600 to 800 pieces of social media, 70 articles a month, 50 to 70 videos, and we suppressed, and we got their brand to like come up on the top. They weren't even first for their own website under their own name. They were like number 7. So we had to optimize their site. We got theirs up to like number 1. We got their YouTube up. We got their social media up, and we pressed everything down to the 2nd and 3rd page of Google. And they were a client of ours for almost 3 years at $15K a month. They were paying Rip-Off Report $10K a month. And so the reason why I say that is we can do reputation management. We know how to do it. There's a lot of people out there like doctors, surgeons, people like that. Like I can tell you there was one guy one time he had this one bad review. I think it was on Ripoff Report for some medical center, and it was costing him like, he knew it was costing him like $50K a month. Like just in, so he'd pay anything to kind of get rid of it. But there's people out there that you guys run across where they're like, oh, I just want to get rid of this review. So it doesn't have to be as amplified as that, but I'm just saying we can do that. So we have the expertise. Business development and consulting. If people need help with their business, like strategies and stuff like that, we can do consulting. You know, like we can charge people an hourly rate and come in and do an analysis of their business and then come up with a marketing plan, like what they need to do with Beacon Media News.
Who
And
does this? Who does that?
I do, and I have other people that are connected with Cloud Connected. Like for example, just so you guys know, because not only does Martin have experience with video and
Okay.
audio technical stuff, but he's built how many call centers?
58,
58 call centers.
and a lot of which were in marketing companies.
And he's helped me with three other businesses that I worked with before to set up metrics and calling software and then tracking through CRMs. So it's just getting everything to work the right way because there's so many different platforms these days.
Yeah.
Getting it all to kind of sync. We always wish there was, like, me and him always talk, we wish there was just one thing that did everything. But there's so many different factors depending on the company. So we can do that too. Like if people need a consultant and they need someone to help them, you know, you guys can, you know, if someone wants that, then I can talk to Jesse and you guys get paid a percentage on that too. And so sometimes people might need that, but I say let's just do baby steps, get in the door.
Right.
Because when we start showing them results, they're going to be an open book to like,
Yeah.
I mean, I have clients I've done SEO for with construction where the owner of the company just says, hey, just tell me what I need to do. Like, I don't even need to think anymore. Just whatever you say, I'll do it. You know, like, okay, right? So email marketing, rentals, orders daily, automate. A lot of people want to do email marketing. They think email marketing is sending out one blast.
Yeah.
And it can help. I've had a lot of companies that get a lot of business from just sending one email blast a month that generates calls and rentals and sales. We can set up email marketing for people. We can tie it into their website and their social media and help them build a list.
But would you provide an additional list to what they already have, or just utilizing their
We
own
can
list?
get lists, but what we would probably do is run a lead generation ad on Facebook, build a list, and then integrate it into their email marketing
Right.
so that it's an audience that's relevant.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of these leads companies and lists are BS. Like
Yeah. I'll tell.
That's good.
landing page development, we can do landing page development, SEO, social media, pay-per-click. We can do any of these aggressively. The client, if they want to spend $30,000 a month on SEO, we can do that. We can have a whole team that's working for them in another office and scale up. You know, we've done it before. We had, you know, if a client's spending like $10,000 a month, we might have 3 to 5 different people working on their account all at the same time. It's not just one person. We have people that write, we have people that build links, we have people that edit videos, do drone videos, we have people that do email marketing. So the cool thing with SEO is even though they might only be spending like $700, $800, $900 a month, they're not just getting the expertise of one guy that's sitting in a room.
Full fulfillment.
There's like, yeah, we have people that build links, we have people that do videos. It's like 5 or 6 people touching their account. Not full time, but
Yeah.
they're getting different expertise on that. Company strategy, publicity and PR, we've gotten people in full page spreads of magazines and built relationships with editors depending on, again, on the budget. We had one client, you know, they rented their house for $100K a week to like celebrities. That's kind of a different client, but we got them a full page write up in a luxury magazine, you know, by building stuff. So people can do like a retainer, like if they want to do PR and SEO and digital marketing, we can do that stuff too. So I'm letting you, you're not limited to the little stuff, and the little stuff can grow into big stuff, and that's really the goal. So I'm just going to go over just the questions. You want to take another break?
No.
Okay. This is the last part of it. So.
And again, you will share these
Yeah.
presentation decks with us?
Yeah.
Great.
We have this all recorded too, so more than likely I'll module it out into like a Dropbox and strategy, and then you can click on it. And,
Very good.
So I would use this before for many sales things, and I think the biggest value of doing sales is like really listening and really kind of hearing where like where people are coming from, like really connecting with them and seeing what's important to them and like what kind of language they use and where they put all their focus and their energy. I think there's a lot of people in sales that just talk and they try to convince. And what you want to do is you want to have them convince themselves and be like, Jesse, come back here. Wait, I want to sign up. No, I want to sign up now. You know, like you want them to talk themselves into the sale, not you talking them into it. You want them to formulate it together, throw this out there, and hopefully it all comes together where now you leave with a sale and it was effortless.
They buy.
Right.
We don't sell.
So by asking these questions, you get a lot of really key information from the client. And maybe this time I'm going to ask you guys some questions as I go through these. So what is your current website address? So what?
Beaconmedia.com.
Okay. So why could that be a good question?
Because they may not know.
Okay, that's a good answer. Any other? What could be another possible answer to like what is your current website address? If you ask them that question, what could they respond with? Let's say they do, I don't know, cookieспizza.com.
To show you like how it may sound the same as like other sites too, or competitors.
That's a good answer.
Or even a website doesn't have to really tie with what you actually do.
But it should.
For example,
should be relevant
say for
for
example
people.
our HLR media, it's kind of, it doesn't really say that we are a distribution company
And that's
in
wrong.
front of people.
Right?
Yeah.
It should.
No, it should, absolutely.
Well, these are all great. These are all good. See,
Absolutely.
I'm just asking a question.
But not
And
only
we are-
that,
I wasn't even going for
Right.
that,
I see
but
what
this
you're
is
saying.
all.
I see the effect.
But there's even another part of this. They might say, just like Jesse told me, oh, by the way, we don't just have one website.
Mhm.
We have these 3 others.
And that's what I was going to say. That's what you said, Beacon. I said HLR.
I know.
Yeah, that's right. And then some people would even say PasadenaIndependent.com.
Yeah.
You know, the Monrovia Weekly. So it's just,
Wait, I just
it's too.
Just so you know, Jesse, I know you've been coming here and I have a pet hotel, but, you know, I actually have 3 other businesses. I have a limousine company
Right.
that my wife runs, and then her sister has this jet ski rental company in Temecula. And then, so we have 4 websites.
Wow.
We have that issue.
But you only know one.
Yeah.
So the question is, what else? Do you have any other websites?
Yeah.
Right, because we just take in face value what we ask people or what we
Yeah.
see. We don't ask anything deeper. And so they might say, well, I have 7 other domains for this website. Should I use that one? Or now you know, like, they already have 7 other domains. They have 4 other businesses. And wait, you've been paying our company $200 a month, and you haven't even told us about the other businesses? Like, you know what I mean? It opens up opportunity. And if they have a jet ski business, you could rent it with your family on the weekend. You know, so it's like, there's this whole energetic thing of not just you can be a customer, but hey, why didn't you tell me? Because I could be one of your customers. You're building a relationship, right? That's just alpha 1 question, you know what I mean? So do you have any secondary sites that you own for this business or any other businesses? Most people that own businesses own more than one business. Me including. I have multiple businesses because why not? I think things are great ideas. My wife has a vegan food business. I eat great food. She cooks it, and you know I get the benefit, and I also help her do marketing too, right? So, what is your main objective for your internet marketing and online strategy? What is your main objective? It might not be traffic. It might be, I want to get 10 places that we can build this year for our construction company. That's our main objective. And so it's really important to understand what their objectives are for the client, because they might give you some of their information that you get an idea and you go, wait a second, wait, we have somebody at our company, Beacon Media News, they're building a house, you know, where you just never know. You know what I
So
mean?
what was that question?
What is your main objective for your internet marketing or your online strategy?
So what if they just gave you the obvious response, we want to grow a business? I mean, would they need to go a little?
Yeah, there's more questions.
Yeah.
But some of them might say, well, we don't really want business. We just want a good reputation online. Because we have a partner with another company, and they give us all our leads. We really want to look really good when it comes to our reputation. So that would be like social media, videos, right? Like they don't need more business. They just want their reputation to be good. Where other people say, well, our main objective is to sell more pizza. Or, you know, do this.
And I think
And just by asking the question, you open up.
And I think that's a very important question because we just always assume that they're trying to grow their business. Right, absolutely. Like a lot of times they say, why do we go to events? No, we really go to events because we want to grow our email.
Correct.
That way, so that type of thing, then also not only that, it help you to know if the campaign is successful. Did you actually achieve what their objective is? And they can't tell you, no, it wasn't successful because now you're able to say, this is what we're able to do for you.
Yeah.
Here's one that's definitely a good qualifying question. What is your role and your title at your company?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you think you're talking
Oh, yeah.
to the guy. And sometimes you are, and they won't tell you are, right? They'll be like the guy, but they're not going to tell you they're the guy.
Yeah.
But you want to ask that. You just want to ask it. What's your role? And if they say it's not me that's the decision maker, who is the decision maker?
Yeah.
Because you want to tie them in to your next meeting so you don't waste your time with someone that's maybe an employee that maybe doesn't have any decision making power. Yeah. Sometimes a janitor is very influential.
Yeah.
Do you make the final decision, and what is the process at your company? So this is a really important question because sometimes you talk to like a large company, and sometimes large companies are amazing because it takes them a while to come on board. But once they come on board, they stay on board for like years and years and years. So you want to ask, what is the process at your company? Like, who makes the final decision? Because they might say, well, the process is you have to do A, B, C, D, and E. So if we do A, B, C, D, and E, you're pretty much saying, how do we line this up for us to do business with you? What needs to be in place for everything to like, you know, make sense? Do you have any other online presence beyond your company websites? They might say, well, we have a house account. You know, we do house advertising. We pay them a premium listing of like $2K a month. Or we're part of we're ranked as the top SEO. We're the top real estate agent in Pasadena. We pay a listing site $2K a month for that, and we get a lot of leads from there. So again, you're investigating, you're kind of digging. You get business from anything else other than your website. I remember one time I talked to a company. They said, we don't have any marketing budget at all, so I don't really know that we can help you with SEO. I'm like, how do you get your clients? Well, we spend $400,000 a year on magazine ads. Do you track it on a phone number? No, we don't. We just assume they all come from it. But they're spending money. They just have to see the value. So it's just really important to ask these questions. So please provide a summary of your business and any specific goals you have for it. Like maybe they go, well, my business does A, B, C, D, and E. We'd really like to double in size. We have 12 employees. We'd like to go to 24. Now you're putting them in the mindset of where they're going. And then they're looking now for fuel on how do they get to the 24 employees that they shared with you. Well, maybe we should hire you guys for marketing because I don't think I'll get to 24 if I don't have any extra leads. So you want to get them in kind of the planning stage, like future projection. Are you satisfied with your return on investment? And do you feel that there's room for growing sales online? You're kind of asking them, do you think there's more business to be had on this thing called Google? Because some clients might say no. And they might just be one of those shut down, don't want to do anything people. You just want to know that you're kind of moving it forward. So you want to know what they believe about the internet too. Like when you're asking that, they'll share some, yeah, you know, gosh, Google, you know, these other 5 companies popped up. We've been around for 10 years now. And we used to be the best company. And now These other 10 companies popped up out of nowhere. What are they doing that we're not doing? And everybody knows us. We've been in Pasadena 20 years. You know, and so then you go, well, do you think maybe it's the internet? Oh yeah, like gosh, we're so far behind. Like I don't even know how to log into my Facebook. But they're frustrated, right? So now it gives you a problem to solve. This is a good question for qualifying people. How many offices and employees are there for your company? Sometimes they have an office in Pasadena, but they have an office in Utah, Chicago, Des Moines, Iowa, all these different places. But if you never ask, a lot of those people that have multiple offices have a really large budget and they're ideal customers when it comes to marketing. Because you know if you get them in Pasadena and you do a good job, you get all the other offices too. So now we're expanding Beacon Media News outside of this Monrovia area. Now we're supplying people in other states. We're expanding, right? And it gives you some insight into the company. I mean, geez, if they have 100 employees, they got to be bringing in some revenue to pay all those people, right? Please describe your primary services and products and where do you make the most money in your company. So you're pretty much asking them, what's the most profitable service that you offer? Because you're getting them focused on the money, and you're like, what if we could get you more of those customers? Maybe the salad customers, they don't make any money on the salad. Maybe they make all their money on the sports events. We want to do more sports events for pizza because we can sell 50 pizzas with the same amount of work, as opposed to having like one guy deliver. So now you have a target, and by you listening to them very intently, they now have a better relationship with you and they trust you. And they're like, boy, Jesse's really listening to me. Everybody else just tries to sell me. Jesse's actually smart. He's asking me all the right questions. And he's listening to what I'm saying. And that means a lot more sometimes than even the results, right? So describe your perfect qualified customer profile, and who are they? What is your ideal customer? Are they a man? Are they a woman? Are they between age 30 and 50? What kind of car do they drive? You know, do they go golfing? Because even just coming up with that, like some people don't even think of that. Because if you think of that ideal customer, you can then start to find niches around that customer that you can target to actually bring in the right customer for that client. Make sense? Yeah. What is the cost for your company to acquire a customer, and what would you spend to get one new client? So somebody that is going to make 10 grand on a solar install might say, you know, to put 10 grand in my pocket, I'd spend $1,000 and get 9 grand return. And how many of those do you want a month? And then do you do any solar batteries, and do you have any kind of monthly service? And you kind of project it out for the customer, because sometimes a little customer will say, well, I just sell like a bottle of shampoo and it's like 25 bucks. But how often did that client come in? They come in every month. They usually come back over and over, buy a few other things. So over a year, that's $400. In 2 years, that's $800. What would it be worth it for you to get $800 in your pocket? Maybe you don't make money in the first 1 or 2 months. Give them a free bottle of shampoo. You know, like this kind of gets them thinking about what is it worth to do proper marketing. You know, and as opposed to what it's going to cost me, right? How much is an average customer worth in revenue dollars for your company? Kind of the same thing. What forms of offline marketing do you use for media, print, and directories? Another important question. A lot of times people have the money. Like many of us have the money for a lot of things in our life. It's just where do we put the money, right? Like we might pay for one thing, and then we realize that one thing, if we move that money over here, this would be 10x, and we would have the money for that other thing. So it's like, how do you look at a company's budget? And so the story with the real estate, $400K a year on a magazine. I mean,
yeah, well, that's one of the main things I'd love to do more. We don't get a lot of real estate, and you know, these homes in Pasadena are going for millions of dollars, and yet real estate person bitches about spending $350.
Some of the real estate people, I mean, by behavioral past, have been cheap,
Yeah.
But if you get a whole office that's advertising for their realtors, because most realtors are independent contractors,
That's what they
and
say.
7 out of 8 people in LA are real estate agents, so they'll just go into their office, pick up the leads, and
Yeah.
go do it, put up a sign. What forms of offline marketing do you use? Did that one? Please provide the top 5 competitors. That's really important because now you're not making it about them. You're making it about what their competitors are doing, and it gives you some insight into like what can we look at, so that it's not just us against them. We can actually get the data from the competitors, and we could show it to them and say, hey, here's the, I don't know, purple dinosaur club over here, and you're not in the purple dinosaur club. These guys, we did research, they're spending $5K a month on their online ads. We did some scans. They rank for all these keywords. You guys don't rank for anything. You're not spending money. If you want to get over here, we can help you get over here. But then they become the leverage, not you. Like now you use the competitors. Do you know what their strategies are? They might even give you insights as to what their competitors are doing that they're not doing. Hey, at least when you're done the meeting, whether you get the client or not, you get their juices going. They're going to remember you, and they're going to call you for future business or referrals. How do you acquire customers? Their main source could be, it could be the dry cleaner. They have flyers there. Maybe, hey, now you get a referral to the dry cleaners, So ask questions. What percentage of your leads or calls convert to sales? Now I'm asking kind of intelligent questions, which if you're an owner like me or you or whatever, we would think, that's a really good question. I don't even know.
And most of them don't.
And it would cause me to lose sleep at night going, gosh, right? So what is your target market and any specific demographic goals? Do you have any social media strategies? So they might say, well, no, I just have a Facebook. It's up. Yeah. Isn't that a strategy that it's up? No. So what sets you apart from your competition? Is there any specific unique value propositions? So that's going to help you, because when we go to do marketing, we can like highlight kind of like what I was talking about before with the guy that had all these incredible accounts, but never told anybody about it, right? Are you looking at local focus campaigns, nationwide or global? One of your clients might surprise you, say, hey, just by the way, we're going to start selling in New Zealand. I have a brother there, and we're going to do sales over there. So it just opens up a bunch of possibility. Are there any specific keywords or search terms that you feel would be an ideal target for you to rank for? Some people know if I could be #1 for Pasadena landscaping, I would pay any amount in the world. So just again, digging. Have you ever worked with an internet marketing company before? How many new calls or leads do you desire every month? Like, how many new calls or leads do you want? And I'll send this to you guys. And I think it's a good tool because it's almost like you can't even trust yourself before you go through the questions. And I know it's a bunch of questions, but you can go through some of these quickly and say, I do this to really serve my clients, whether you do business with me or not. I can give you a copy of this at the end or whatever. But what is the expected conversion rates of leads to sales? How many sales reps do you have? And can sales be converted online, or do they need to speak with someone? Because some people are thinking, hey, if I had an e-commerce site, I wouldn't have to talk to anybody and they could just order. But, like you're just getting into their head a little bit. How are your online reviews and reputation with PPC ads? What is the desired cost per click? Phone tracking, do you have phone tracking? Is your conversion tracking working? How are your quality scores? Are you running any ads on Facebook? Who manages your content? Is there anything else that you feel is important for our company to know about your company? Sales goals, printed information. So it's just like 37 questions, 38, but you could get some really great information from the meeting, and they could be excited by the time you come out just from asking them questions. You haven't even tried to sell them anything. But the nature at which you're trying to understand their business is probably more than someone that works in their company that's sitting in a chair. So now they're like, wow, that Beacon Media News, man, they asked me some good questions. There are some sharp people. We gotta hire them. You know, wife, give me the credit card. I'm tired of doing all this stuff. Give it to Jesse.
Well, then sometimes that'd be great because a lot of people don't even give you that much time. Even these 37 questions, another qualifying question is great, but like sometimes, like the lady was here yesterday, she wouldn't know half that stuff.
Right,
Exactly.
and there you go. You just basically,
Yeah.
based on what we want to see.
Yeah.
Pick and choose, because a lot of them are connected
Correct.
Yeah.
to each other. Right? You don't have
And
to
maybe
just
the
go
question you
that
start
way.
off is like, how important is the future of your business?
Yeah.
You want to project where you're going to be in a year, or you just kind of go with the flow?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's you could take a handful of these out. I mean, I could dummy it down to
No, I like
probably
all
10 or
of
12.
I know
Right.
those things.
And also, if they do not know the answer to the question,
You can just say, well, let's
about
just
the
skip it.
consulting business,
Yeah.
we can help them
Yeah.
Yeah.
to understand these,
Yeah.
get the answers to these questions.
Just roll your eyes and say,
Yeah.
then go to the next one.
I mean, some people in companies these days. I mean, what do they spend just to get some of these answers?
Exactly.
Yeah, they think big.
Yeah. Yeah.
This can be part of the service
Yeah.
that we're going to offer with the program. We'll help you to get the answers.
So yeah, it's 12:53. I mean, if you guys have any other questions, hopefully this was valuable. We have it
was.
recorded. I can more than likely provide you guys the audio to listen to, and I'll more than likely edit it into little modules.
If you can do that, that would be great.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do is have a conversation about the next step, because our end goal
Yeah.
is for us to start generating new business.
Yeah.
Right. To increase our client base, to increase the revenue. So now we need to complete the strategy for us to get there. So
Yeah.
that's what I want to talk to them about. What's next? We also sent you.
Yeah, it looks
the
good.
collateral piece
It looks
that
good,
you
and then
like.
I'll send you the links later today on
Okay.
YouTube,
Okay.
on your channel.
Okay.
So if you want to embed it into the email, you can.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. We'll work on that. So hopefully I have, what time we have to leave?
Mine was at 1:30.
Okay.
Mine was 132.
Okay, so I only need about.
Was this
5
was this
minutes of
valuable
your
for you
time.
guys?
Yes.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah,
information.
and that's what I want to go over, but I
Yeah.
want to do it without you being present, so they can be honest and open, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully this
Also,
gives you a little bit of ammunition to, to go put in your tool belt and have like some good conversations with people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
This is very good.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the beginning. What you're doing is you're building credibility.